Welcome back to the live show. You know what time it is. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're back. So, for some reason, we were cut off. I guess it was the internet or whatsoever. I don't know for sure, but we're back right now. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are back. Okay, so firstly, I want to run it back for you guys. So, I have this video that I wanted to play for you guys, and then we're gonna come back to this old video, to this new one that the new rally he just finished in Las Vegas. We were watching that before we were cut off, but now I want to actually throw it a little back for you guys. From This was 5 years ago. President Trump delivers remarks on second chance hiring. Let's listen to this. Since we're talking about Trump being the man of the people, we're gonna come back here. Okay, we're gonna come back here for sure. Just stay locked in. We're gonna come back here for sure. Let's see what time it is.
Thank you very much. Please, please. Great occasion. I want to welcome everyone to the White House. We're here today to announce a vital new action that we're taking to help former inmates find a job, live a crime-free life, and succeed beyond their wildest dreams. And this afternoon, we're very grateful to have many distinguished guests, including Secretary Alex Acosta. Alex, thank you very much. Governor Phil Bryant. Thank you, Phil, very much. Governor Bill Lee, we just spent some time together, Tennessee. And I have to say, my administration is focused on lifting up all Americans, and that's exactly what we're doing with this. As part of our Working Families agenda, we've expanded apprenticeships and job training. We've delivered historic tax cuts, the biggest ever in the history of our country, and regulatory reform, and we've increased access to affordable health care and child care. So it's been really important. Thank you. And as a result of the booming economy, we're bringing Americans who have been on the sidelines back into the workforce, including former inmates and those recovering from opioid addiction. Very important, and it's been incredible, the success we've had. Since the election, we've created 6 million new jobs. We've added more than 1 million new jobs in manufacturing, construction, and steel alone, and everyone said that was going to be an impossibility to do, manufacturing jobs. African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have reached the lowest levels and the lowest rates in the history of our country. It's been an incredible situation. Our policies are rebuilding lives, rebuilding families, and rebuilding communities. To realize America's full potential, we must unlock the talents of every single citizen. We want to lift every American family out of poverty and into a future of hope and opportunity. In December of last year, I signed into law groundbreaking and historic reform to our criminal justice system, the First Step Act. That's terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you like it. It is true, though, since we got it passed, nobody realized how tough it was. They've been trying to do it for many years, and many years, and nobody thought they could do it, and we got it done. But we had tremendous conservative support. and tremendous liberal support. It was very bipartisan. Some of the most conservative people, I know Mike Lee was in favor of it, and Chuck Grassley was in favor of it. And then on the other side, you had people that, frankly, I didn't think would be signing too many of the things that I wanted to do, Phil Bryant, you know? But they all wanted it, and it's something that I'm very proud of. And Jared and Ivanka were incredible, and they really pushed it. And I think they were being pushed a little bit also by Kim Kardashian. She's right here. So thank you, Kim. And Kanye, thank you. Since its passage, more than a dozen states have advanced similar reforms at the state level. Now we must make sure that the Americans returning from prison get a true second chance, right? America wins when citizens with a criminal record can contribute to their communities as law-abiding members of our society. When former inmates come home, the single most important action we can take is to help them find a really, really good job where they love the job, they want to go there, and they're making a lot of money, right? And that's what's happening, and that's because of a lot of reasons, including the people in this room, but it's also because we have a great economy. And some people that wouldn't have normally made that choice, they've made that choice, and they are so happy. I'm talking about employers. They are so happy. They can't even believe it. They've got, one man told me some of the best people that work for him now came out of prison. And these are people that a few years ago he would not have given a chance, and now he considers them among his best people. Too often, former inmates are not considered for jobs, even if they're qualified, rehabilitated, and ready to work. And that's why we're taking crucial steps to encourage business to expand second chance hiring practices. So when we say hire American, we mean all Americans, and that's what's happening. First time probably ever. And I think I can say truly, and a lot of the folks in the room are experts, and you've been doing this for a long time, but I think it's probably the first time we can truly say that in the history of our country that that's happening. So it's really been fantastic. The unemployment rate for former inmates is up to 5 times higher than the national average. My administration has set an ambitious goal. We want to cut the unemployment rate for these individuals to single digits within 5 years, and we think there's a really good chance of doing it. Thank you. Second chance hiring is about safer communities, a stronger workforce, and a thriving economy. We believe in the dignity of work and the pride of a paycheck. Here with us today is Johnny Kufos. And I worked in that name because it's spelled a little bit differently. It's spelled a little bit differently than we're supposed to, but I got it right. I think, Johnny, I don't know. Close enough. A lawyer who served time in prison for an alcohol-related accident and now runs a reentry program. He's done incredibly well. He's highly respected in the community. He's a tremendous guy. And John, maybe you could come up and say a few words, please. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you all for being here. And don't worry about the name, it's Greek. That's the best pronunciation anyone's done in many years. Again, my name's John Kufos, and Mr. President, your courage in criminal justice reform has made America safer, it's made America better, and it's made America more prosperous. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for that. Thank you. We're on June 12th, I think, 2019 today, and in June 12th, 2013, I was in prison. I had hurt someone. My alcoholism I caused a car accident in my alcoholism, driving drunk. And thank the Lord I didn't kill that person, Mr. President. And when I was in prison, and here I was, this trial lawyer from New Jersey, nobody asked me for money, which was really a surprise in prison. But nearly everybody asked me for a job. Everyone wanted a job to avoid crime, to reunify with their families, to pay child support. And I never forgot that. And as my journey towards sobriety took shape, I was blessed with people like the folks in this room who gave me that second chance to contribute. And I would go on to build a very large reentry program in New Jersey. From there, I would go on to be recruited to work down here in Washington, D.C. to help do this nationally. I've worked with Governor Bryant, so many good people in the room. And without a second chance, I don't know where I would have been. I'm not sure if I could have stayed sober. I certainly know I wouldn't have contributed the level I did. Next month, I have my first child, a baby daughter, on the way. I have, thank you. I'm married, and I have the ability to be standing here with you, Mr. President. Thank you for taking on criminal justice reform. Folks, this is the public safety issue of our time. This is a justice issue of our time. This is a civil rights issue of our time. And this is a prosperity issue of our time. And Mr. President, thanks to you, it's all of our time. God bless you.
Thank you, John. That's incredible. That's an incredible story. And I can't tell you the job he's done. So respected. Across the federal government, we're giving former inmates the resources they need to make the most of their new lease on life. Today, the Federal Bureau of Prisons announced that it will work with employers to help those leaving prison to have a job lined up when they are released, something that pretty much has never happened before. Also, earlier today, the Department of Labor, Alex, that's good. He's done a great job. He's done a good job. Awarded $2 million to states to support fidelity bonds, which underwrite companies that hire former prisoners. We're expanding our Second Chance Pell Grant pilot program to allow individuals to use their time in prison to take college-level classes. That's great. That's great. That's great. The Department of Energy has begun a new initiative to inform American workers, including former inmates, about great jobs in the booming energy industry, and that is a great industry. And just in case you didn't hear me say this before, we've now become the #1 energy producer by far in the world. We're topping Saudi Arabia, and we're topping Russia. Our administration is also working to allow rehabilitated citizens with a criminal record to apply for both federal government jobs and affordable housing, something they were unable to do before. Here with us today is Marcus Bulock, who went to prison as a minor in 1996 and now runs a technology company, and he's doing a very good job. Marcus, please come up and say hello. You're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. When I was in cell C12, I never thought that I would be standing here on this podium, so I'm going to suck all of this moment up while I'm standing right here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. When I was 15 years old, I made one of the worst mistakes of my life, and it landed me in front of a judge listening to him sentence me to 8 years in adult maximum security prisons. I grew up in a prison cell, and I'll tell you, that was some of the darkest times of my life. The depression that I fought, the the battles on the prison rec yards that I saw every day, they became a big part of me, and they built this dark spirit that my mom began to see, and my mom made a commitment because she wanted me to understand that there was life after prison. There would be potential days that looked like this. And so my mom wrote me letters and she sent me pictures every day for the remaining 6 years of my prison sentence until I came home so that she can show me the window to the world. And this is why I'm so grateful for what happens around the country, and we having conversations around the First Step Act and what we're doing now with these second chances, because even once I came home, it was still very challenging for me to get a job. After finally finding a job at a paint store, minimum wage job, and I was very, very grateful just to be able to get a job, and it was really only because of the way that they worded one of the questions on the application. It allowed me to be able to even eventually start my first business after prison, which was a painting business. We ended up hiring over 18 employees, and after the 19th one, we realized that the first 16 were all returning citizens just like me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And while we were building opportunities for other men and women to come home and have a great place to be able to work with sustainable employment, we wanted to venture out a little bit further, and in 2012, we started our first tech company. That tech company, Flick Shop, is now a venture-backed company that connects families back to their incarcerated loved ones the same way that my mom wrote me letters and pictures when I was in prison. We've connected over 140,000 families around the country, and I'm so grateful because the resources that are flowing back into these prison cells using our tech is building the next generation of entrepreneurs, leaders, business executives like me, and great employees at some of you all's incredible companies. I'm so grateful to be a small part of the solution because we do understand that this crisis is huge. But with you guys' leadership, I feel very, very optimistic about the future of employment. Thank you.
And tomorrow, Marcus will be announcing a run for a major public office. Good job. Huh? You guys, great job. Thank you both very much. Really fantastic. Today, we're also joined by many employers who are hiring former inmates and helping us build the strongest economy on earth. We have some very successful people in this room, and we appreciate it all very much. Thank you very much. Great job. Among the leaders who join us today is Steve Preston, the CEO of Goodwill. Goodwill employs and provides training and other services for more than 100,000 former inmates each and every year. Steve, I want to thank you for the devotion and all that you do for a second chance. Steve? Steve? Yes, Steve.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, for your leadership in the First Step Act and for working with Congress to pass this in a bipartisan fashion. That just sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Because we know that it's not an issue of one side of the aisle or the other. It's an issue for the entire country. And now we all get to work together to ensure that we truly give people who are coming back home a real second chance. You know, we all know about high recidivism rates, but it does not have to be that way. I know, because as the President said, last year alone, Goodwill worked with over 100,000 second chance individuals. And with the right kind of support, those recidivism rates plummet, and in their place come high success rates. So we need to provide support for people to get back on their feet, to stabilize their lives, and so importantly, to find meaningful employment, because it's the promise of that job that often cements the path forward to a sustainable life. And the small investment we make to do that has a return many times over, not only financially, which I think any of us could prove out, but certainly in the form of lives that are transformed, both for the individuals and for their families. And it's so important that we remember those families in this process. So thank you again, Mr. President, for all that you are doing to be part of to advance this important effort. Thank you guys for your stories. These are, like, there's no better testimony than to see what's happening here. And there are other people around the country that have the same experience if they're given the right chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I thought maybe I'd just take a moment. So at the White House, and been with me now 3.5 years before I won, before the election, is a person, a friend, a woman, a great, magnificent person, actually, named Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And she's very popular. She's very popular. And she's done an incredible job. We've been through a lot together, and she's tough, but she's good. You know, you also have tough and bad, right? She's tough and she's good. She's great. And she's going to be leaving the service of her country, and she is going to be going, I guess you could say private sector, but I hope she's going to, she comes from a great state, Arkansas. That was a state I won by a lot, so I like it, right? But we love Arkansas, and she's going to be going back to Arkansas with her great family. Her husband is a fantastic guy, and her family. And I don't know, Phil and folks, if we can get her to run for the governor of Arkansas, I think she'll do very well. And I'm trying to get her to do that. But I just saw her in the room, and I really wanted to call her up. She is a special person, a very, fine woman. She has been so great. She has such heart. She's strong, but with great heart. And I want to thank you for an outstanding job.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you. Come. Thank you, honey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll try not to get emotional because I know that crying can make us look weak sometimes, right? This has been the honor of a lifetime, the opportunity of a lifetime. I couldn't be prouder to have had the opportunity to serve my country, and particularly to work for this president. He has accomplished so much in these 2.5 years, and it's truly been something I will treasure forever. It's one of the greatest jobs I could ever have. I've loved every minute, even the hard minutes. I have loved it. I love the president. I love the team that I've had the opportunity to work for. The president is surrounded by some of the most incredible and most talented people you could ever imagine. And it's truly the most special experience. The only one I can think of that might top it just a little bit is the fact that I'm a mom. I have 3 amazing kids, and I'm going to spend a little more time with them. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue to be one of the most outspoken and loyal supporters of the president and his agenda. And I know he's going to have an incredible 6 more years and get a whole lot more done, like what we're here to celebrate today. And I don't want to take away from that. So I certainly want to get back to the tremendous thing that the people behind me have done. And thank you so much, Mr. President. It's truly an honor.
Thank you. Great. Great person. Great person. Thank you, Sarah. Great. She's a warrior. You guys know what warriors are, right? Yeah, you're warriors. We're all warriors. We have no choice. We have to be warriors in this world, but she is a warrior. Thank you, Sarah, very much. We're also glad to have with
There you have it. Signed the First Step Act, Prison Reform. Okay, so we don't dwell on the past too much. I'm going to play another video for y'all. Smash the like button and subscribe. You know what time it is. Let's get it.
Thank you. In a few moments, moments, I will sign an executive order launching a new White House opportunity. This is a very big thing that Tim and I and everybody have been working on for a long time. And Revitalization Council. This council will coordinate efforts across the entire federal government to deliver jobs, investment, and growth to the communities that need it the most. With the creation of today's council, the resources of the whole federal government will be leveraged to rebuild low-income and impoverished neighborhoods that have been ignored by Washington in years past. Our goal is to ensure that America's great new prosperity is broadly shared by all of our citizens. Our country is doing better than ever economically, and we're able to do that. I'm thrilled to announce that our new council will be led by Secretary Ben Carson, who is here with us today. Let's see, Ben. Where is our Ben? Also with us is Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Secretary Wilbur Ross, who will both serve on the council and play a critical role in its work. The council will focus its efforts on opportunity zones, a crucial part of tax cuts that we passed last year. Under our new tax cuts, any distressed area that is designated as an opportunity zone will receive massive incentives for private sector investment, including zero capital gains tax on any investment held for at least 10 years. We're honored to be joined today by the person who led the fight to include opportunity zones in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and that is Senator Tim Scott. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. We're also joined by Roger Campos of the Minority Business Roundtable, along with Jimmy Kemp. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. That's great. Pastor Darrell Scott, friend of mine for a long time. Where's Darrell?
Right here.
Darrell. Darrell. Bishop Harry Jackson. Harry, that's great. And local officials from Baltimore, Maryland, Norfolk, Virginia, and Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. For decades, job growth and investment have been concentrated in a few major metropolitan areas. This has created a geographic disparity, a very big one in many cases, where some cities have thrived while others have suffered chronic economic and social hardship. With opportunity zones, we're drawing investment into neglected and underserved communities of America so that all Americans, regardless of zip code, have access to the American dream. Governors know their local needs best. Following the enactment of our tax law, America's governors designated nearly 9,000 neighborhoods as opportunity zones, from communities in the rural West Virginia to suburban Arizona to inner city Chicago. The Treasury Department has estimated that as a result of these tax incentives, private businesses will invest $100 billion in opportunity zones, and that will be incredible. This council will support communities like East Baltimore, where Pastor Dante Hickman is helping lead a groundbreaking project in the newly designated Opportunity Zone. I'd like to invite Pastor Hickman to say a few words about today's initiative. He's been an incredible leader, a man of faith, and somebody that we all believe very strongly in. Pastor, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am here today thanking you in advance for funding and resources that you will direct to the urban and distressed communities like Baltimore. The executive order you signed today will make it possible for us to work with your administration on a common goal of investing to restore people as we rebuild properties in neglected communities. As pastor of the Southern Baptist Church, and through our Mary Harvin Transformation Center Community Development Corporation, in partnership with other faith-based stakeholder institutions, developed the East Baltimore Revitalization Plan, addressing development needs of over 100 acres just north of Johns Hopkins Hospital, and was recently approved and adopted by the City Planning Department of Baltimore. Our area has been federally designated as an opportunity zone, and this bipartisan legislation can leverage public and private funding towards community revitalization. Your influence on federal agencies and private entities through this executive order will enable distressed communities like Broadway East in Baltimore to obtain investment needed to capitalize and bridge funding gaps to create sustainable health, wealth, housing, educational, recreational, grocery, and employment opportunities. It will strengthen small, emerging, and other businesses, as well as enable financial support of historically black colleges and universities like Wiley College in Marshall, Texas, where I attended. Mr. President, I want you and every agency and potential investor to know that in Baltimore, and in particular Broadway East Baltimore, that we have the plan, we have the property, we have the people, we have the professional expertise, and we have the prospectus to jumpstart your urban initiative. Baltimore is prepared to be a demonstration project for a national urban revitalization strategy. We look forward to working with your administration on rebuilding opportunity in our urban communities that have suffered from disinvestment and dilapidation for decades. And we welcome you to come to Baltimore to see the potential transformative impact of your leadership and investment through this executive order. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor. Today, we are also proud to be joined by one of America's most admired business leaders, the co-founder of the television network BET, Bob Johnson. Bob, please. Hi, Bob. How are you? Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm here to applaud you on two things. One, you may not even know about, but Tim Scott does.
Good.
Just recently, your Department of Labor signed a historic document that created something called auto portability. Auto portability is designed to reduce retirement leakage among low-income 401k account holders who tend to cash out. And Mr. President, you should know this, 60% of African American, Hispanic Americans cash out of their 401k account. When this program, the policy that Secretary Costa initiated along with my company, is implemented along with the big financial record keepers, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, this program will put close to $800 billion back in the retirement pockets of minority Americans. So I just want to applaud you for that. Now, getting to the most important thing. Most of you probably know that I started BET on a $500,000 loan from a guy named John Malone. That $500,000 that John Malone put into BET allowed me, along with a lot of other minority employees and others, to build a $4 billion business. What this proves is the efficacy, Mr. President, of a program that allows capital to flow to places where people are seeking an opportunity. And I am convinced that this program, where the tax incentives flowing out of the Treasury Department to business people will cause people to invest money where before they saw risk, now they will see opportunity. And that combination of putting money into communities will allow for those communities to become vibrant, to become safe, to create ownership, and most important, to contribute to the well-being of this country. I'm a fundamental believer that there are business solutions to social problems. The Opportunity Zone program is that, and I applaud you and Tim Scott for taking the leadership on it. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you very much, Bob. Under my administration, we are fighting every day for all Americans. African Americans and Hispanic American poverty rates have reached their lowest levels ever recorded in the history of our country. African American and Hispanic American unemployment have recently achieved the lowest rates ever recorded. African American youth unemployment has reached the lowest rate ever recorded. That's pretty good, Bob, isn't it? What? Pretty good. Last year alone, we lifted 1 million Americans out of poverty, which is a record. We have launched a cutting-edge campaign to provide skills and job training to nearly 6.5 million Americans. We are fixing disastrous trade policies that gutted middle-class communities, and we are expanding real educational choice for our students. As part of our commitment to building safe and prosperous communities, the Senate will soon vote on our landmark criminal justice reform package that we've all been working very hard on. You have been working very hard on it. The First Step Act, it's called. This legislation will give former inmates and nonviolent offenders the chance to become productive, contributing, law-abiding citizens. But we have much more work to do. The White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council will drive our ambitious agenda and drive it very, very powerfully. No citizen will be forgotten, no community will be ignored, and no American will be left on the sidelines. To achieve our national destiny, we all must unlock the potential of all of our people, not just some of our people. Together, we will take our nation to new heights by realizing the full promise of America for every citizen in our magnificent land. With that, I would like to invite Secretary Ben Carson to the podium before I sign the executive order. I'd also like to ask Tim Scott to say a few words, great senator, and then we'll sign. Thank you very much. Ben, first. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for that introduction, for all of you for joining us today for this most important executive order signing. Today, the nation's unemployment rate is at a 49-year low. Jobless rates among African Americans down to a record low of 5.9%. Wages on the rise. While we can all be proud of these achievements, one challenge has remained. There are still communities in our country that have seen little or no new investment in generations. During his inaugural address, President Trump declared that the forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. It is critical that every American shares in the gains of the past 2 years. Today, the President is establishing the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council through an executive order. I'm pleased to chair this council, consisting of members across 13 agencies, whose mission is to jumpstart the development in urban and rural communities through the creation of opportunity zones. Located in economically distressed communities across this country, opportunity zones are home to approximately 35 million Americans. The Department of Treasury estimates that the Opportunity Zone legislation could attract over $100 billion in private investment, which will go a long way to spur on jobs and economic development. This kind of medicine is precisely what a doctor would prescribe to heal communities where nearly 1 in 3 people live in poverty and unemployment is nearly twice the national average. Too often, new investments into distressed communities are here today and gone tomorrow. By offering incentives that encourage investors to think in terms of decades instead of days, opportunity zones ensure that development is here today and here to stay. This long-term approach means that new growth becomes consistent growth and new jobs become steady jobs. The result is an innovative market and place-based approach that creates a win-win for investors and distressed communities alike. The Council will help improve the efficacy of this process and is ready to consider more than 150 actions to better target, streamline, and coordinate federal programs and opportunity zones. These are still the early days in terms of the work of the Council and opportunity zones, but the groundwork has been laid. The seeds the President has planted are growing, and the promise they hold to improve places long forgotten in the lives of those who call these places home. And with that, I invite Senator Scott, who was instrumental in creating the zones, after which time the President will perform the deed.
I just want to take the time to thank the President for his hard work and his dedication to people living in distressed communities. As a kid who grew up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty, living in one of these distressed communities, I know firsthand the value of hope being brought into communities. Under this administration, Mr. President, under your leadership, what we've seen happen in the last several months is unprecedented. You can think first about opportunity zones. When you and I had a conversation about the zones over a year and a half ago, you immediately jumped on board and took the lead. And because of your leadership, opportunity zones that will help distressed communities, over 8,700 throughout this country, is a reality. The average poverty rate in those zones are 31%. Because of your leadership, because of your foresight and your vision, we now see hope descending on these zones. Number two, when you think about what Bob Johnson spoke about, the ability to positively impact retirement security in communities of color has increased because of your proactive stance on keeping those dollars in retirement accounts. Number three, you think about the power of education. The greatest chasm in this nation is caused by two primary issues. One is family formation. We can't do much about that in government. But number two is education. Your focus, sir, is changing lives that you may never meet, but it's happening every single day in America. And finally, your strong advocacy for criminal justice reform to come to the floor of the United States Senate without any question, without your leadership, our Senate would not have made the decision to take it up in 2018. So when it passes, the credit starts at the White House and starts with President Donald Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. I think that means Tim gets the first pen.
Mayor should get Hey, good to be here.
This is a good one. Okay.
There you have it. Opportunity zones signed by the former President Donald J. Trump, the OG, the master negotiator. You know what time it is. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Okay, another accomplishment. About to play the video for y'all. Let's get it.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to be here. This was some beautiful morning, and what a job they've done, like few others have been able to do. I am very, very proud of Lonnie Bunch. The work and the love that he has in his heart for what he's done is, I always talk about, you need enthusiasm, you need really love for anything you do it successfully. And Lonnie, you are where? Come on. Where's Lonnie? You should be up here, Lonnie. Come on. And David, we have to get David up here too. David Scorton is tremendous, and he was singing Lonnie's praises all morning long. So you two should at least be here, so we appreciate it very much. And David Rubenstein, who's here someplace, he is, come on, David, you have to get up here, David. You certainly deserve it. He's a very, very successful guy who spends money doing great things, and he's been a great help to so many different groups, and this one in particular. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here today. This museum is a beautiful tribute to so many American heroes. Heroes like Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Rosa Parks, the Greensboro students, and the African American Medal of Honor recipients, among so many other really incredible heroes. It's amazing to see. We did a pretty comprehensive tour, but not comprehensive enough. So, Lonnie, I'll be back. I told you that. Thank you. Because I could stay here for a lot longer, believe me. It's really incredible. I'm deeply proud that we now have a museum that honors the millions of African American men and women who built our national heritage, especially when it comes to faith, culture, and the unbreakable American spirit. My wife was here last week and took a tour, and it was something that she's still talking about. Ivanka is here right now. Hi, Ivanka. And it really is very, very special. It's something that, frankly, if you want to know the truth, it's doing so well that everybody's talking about it. I know President Obama was here for the museum's opening last fall, and I'm honored to be the second sitting president to visit this great museum. Etched in the hall that we passed today is a quote from Spotswood Rice, a runaway slave who joined the Union Army. He believed that his fellow African Americans always looked to the United States as the promised land of universal freedom. Today and every day of my presidency, I pledge to do everything I can to continue that promise of freedom for African Americans and for every American. So important, nothing more important. This tour was a meaningful reminder of why we have to fight bigotry, intolerance, and hatred in all of its very ugly forms. The anti-Semitic threats targeting our Jewish community and community centers are horrible and are painful and a very sad reminder of the work that still must be done to root out hate and prejudice and evil. I want to thank a great friend of mine, Dr. Ben Carson, and his beautiful family, Candy and the whole family, for joining us today. It was very special to accompany him and his family for the first time seeing the Carson exhibit. First time. Oh, I'm so proud. I love this guy. He's a great guy, really a great guy. And he can tell you better than me, but I'll tell you what, we really started something with Ben. We're very, very proud of him. Hopefully next week he'll get his approval, about 3 or 4 weeks late. And you're doing better than most, right? But the Democrats, they'll come along. I have no doubt they'll come along. But Ben is going to do a fantastic job at HUD. I have absolutely no doubt he will be one of the great ever in that position. He grew up in Detroit and had very little. He defied every statistic. He graduated from Yale, and he went on to the University of Michigan's medical school. He became a brilliant, totally brilliant neurosurgeon. Saved many lives and helped many, many people. We're going to do great things in our African American communities together. Ben's going to work with me very, very closely. And HUD has a meaning far beyond housing. If properly done, it's a meaning that's as big as anything there is. And Ben will be able to find that true meaning and the true meaning of HUD as its secretary. So I just look forward to that. I look forward to watching that. He'll do things that nobody ever thought of. I also want to thank Senator Tim Scott for joining us today. A friend of mine, a great, great senator from South Carolina. I like the state of South Carolina. I like all those states where I won by double digits, you know, those states. But South Carolina was one, and Tim has been fantastic how he represents the people. And they love him. I also want to profoundly thank Alveda King for being here. And as we saw her uncle's wonderful exhibit, and he certainly deserves that. Mrs. King, and by the way, Miss King, I can tell you this personally because I watch her all the time, and she is a tremendous fighter for justice. And so, Alveda, thank you very much. Come up here for a second. Yes, sir. Thank you. I have been watching you for so long, and you are so incredible. And I want to thank you for all the nice things you say about me. Not everybody says nice things, but she's special.
You and your family. You're the best. You're great.
Thank you. Come here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. So with that, we're going to just end this incredible beginning of a morning, but engraved in the wall very nearby, a quote by the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. In 1955, he told the world, "We are determined to work and fight until justice runs down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream." And that's what it's going to be. We're going to bring this country together, maybe bring some of the world together, but we're going to bring this country together. We have a divided country. It's been divided for many, many years, but we're going to bring it together. I hope every day of my presidency, we will be honoring the determination and work towards a very worthy goal. And for Lonnie and David and Ben and Alvita and everybody, I just want to, I just have to say that what they've done here is something that can probably not be duplicated. It was done with love and lots of money, right, Lonnie? Lots of money. We can't avoid that. But it was done with tremendous love and passion, and that's why it's so great. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate it, and congratulations. This is a truly great museum. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys heard the former president talk about bringing the country together. Okay, so of course, y'all know I am an immigrant. I came here about like almost 9 years ago legally. Okay, and I became a United States citizen, and I am voting for the OG, Big T Donald J. Trump, because things were just way better. We had affordable gas prices. The mortgage rate was around 2%, 3%. Border was safe. We didn't have to send millions of munitions to Ukraine. Okay, so it is what it is. I know I have this color and I'm not supposed to be obviously supporting him, and I'm an immigrant, so legal immigrant. So it's like, oh, then why are you supporting Trump? He hates you. He wants to deport you. No, he doesn't, because I came here legally. Okay, so relax with all the cap, all the massive cap. Relax. Okay, so we're gonna bring it back to the modern day. Okay, let's go watch CNN. Okay, because of course we got to watch both sides of the aisle. Let's go watch CNN. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. You know what time it is. Let's go.
Thanks for joining us. For a second straight day, elementary school students in Springfield, Ohio, were forced to evacuate their classrooms after another day of threats made against schools and yesterday city buildings. After a week of falsehoods, some of them inflammatory, about some of them are just flat out racist, about the city made by Donald Trump, his running mate, and their supporters, including by the former president today, who was offered multiple opportunities to try to tamp down the tension, correct the falsehoods, and disavow a particularly toxic follower and traveling companion of his. His chance came at a press conference he gave this afternoon at his golf course near Los Angeles. In it, he claimed he won the debate. Our polling and some of his fellow Republicans certainly disagree. So does his supporter, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who said he lost on national TV. He also made fun of moderator David Muir again. He said he would win solidly blue California if votes there would be counted honestly. They have been counted honestly, we should point out. He repeated a false claim that California was diverting water into the ocean. He accused Kamala Harris of lying about having worked at McDonald's in 1983, repeatedly mispronounced her name. In other words, he said things which, while they'd be outlandish if spoken by virtually any other candidate for any office ever, were, no pun intended, par for the course, and which sometimes obscure his other words that inflame and incite and can lead to dark places, such as his turning a legitimate line of criticism over the pullout from Afghanistan and the bombing that killed 13 American service members into this.
Their sons and daughter, just as though Kamala shot them with a pistol in her hand or his hand, they were killed by Biden and Kamala.
And if that weren't explicit enough, he's also implicating the president and vice president in the attempt on his life, saying in Tuesday's debate, I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me, which at least suggests he understands the impact that words can have. Yet, even after Springfield schools were evacuated for a second time today, he said this.
Springfield, Ohio, 20,000 illegal Haitian migrants have descended upon a town of 58,000 people, destroying their way of life. They've destroyed the place. And people don't like to talk about it because even the town doesn't like to talk about it because it sounds so bad for the town. They live there. They're proud. They love the town. For years, it was a great place, safe, nice. Now they have 20,000, and I actually heard today it's 32,000. It's the new number.
Well, keeping him honest, in Springfield, the Haitians in Springfield are not, as he says, illegal. By and large, they live there lawfully, complete with Social Security numbers and work permits under a federal program. Now, instead of admitting that, the former president and his running mate have latched onto a right-wing internet meme about the Haitian community there.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
I don't know what are the full spate of animals that are being consumed there in Springfield. We've heard reports from a number of constituents on the ground that they have had pets abducted by some of the immigrants there.
Springfield, Ohio, that you've been reading about, 20,000 illegal Haitian immigrants have descended upon the town of 58,000 people, destroying their entire way of life. This was a beautiful community, and now it's horrible. And illegal Haitians, and he came in, illegal Haitian migrants taking over a beautiful place. Can you imagine you have this small little community, all of a sudden you have 20,000 illegals in your community. Nobody knows where they come from.
Well, as you heard a moment ago, today, without any evidence, he jacked that number up to 32,000. So he heard, he said. And also today, he vowed to deport them all, but he got the country wrong.
We will do large deportations from Springfield, Ohio. Large deportations. We're going to get these people out. We're bringing them back to Venezuela.
So it's easy to let the comic opera aspect of him confusing the countries he scorns. It again obscures the central fact that what he's saying is inflammatory and false with regard to Haitians' legal status in Springfield and the racist slur on their dietary habits. Springfield area law enforcement this week went through 11 months of calls received and none, according to them, concerned pets being eaten. That's the real news, along with school evacuations today and yesterday, not the rumors and the falsehoods that he and his supporters are spreading. Here's what conspiracy peddler Laura Loomer posted on X today, quoting now, Elon Musk posts video of Haitian women confirming Haitians do in fact eat cats and do animal sacrifice and voodoo. This comes as the media is lying and saying Donald Trump lied about Kamala Harris's Haitian invaders eating people's pets in Ohio. It's real and it's happening. Now, Loomer, you'll recall, recently posted a racist tweet about the vice president's Indian heritage. She's been traveling with the former president recently on his plane, to the dismay of other Republicans, accompanying him to 9/11 ceremonies, despite having posted a video claiming the attacks were an inside job, in her words. He was asked about her today.
What would you say to your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Loomer?
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants.
Your allies have expressed concern.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters. So I don't know what exactly you're referring to.
Laura Loomer was traveling with you on your plane.
Okay. A lot of people do. It's a very big plane.
She made racist remarks about your opponent. She also espoused conspiracy theories about 9/11. Do you disavow those remarks?
Well, I have to see what the remarks are. You're telling me for the first time.
He has to see what her remarks are. As you saw from that tweet of hers today, her remarks on that subject are his remarks. And despite being a big plane, as he said, space on it is at a premium, even more so after his security detail was beefed up. She's on the plane and by his side because he wants her there. But in a social media post late today, he signaled a possible change, and you can make of it what you will. Quoting now, Laura Loomer doesn't work for the campaign. She's a private citizen, longtime supporter. I disagree with the statement she made, but like the many millions of people who support me, she's tired of watching the radical left Marxists and fascists violently attack and smear me, even to the point of doing anything to stop their political opponent, me. So, a lot to get to. Joining us, CNN political commentator Scott Jennings and Ashley Allison, Politico's Meredith McGraw, and Michael Eric Dyson, distinguished professor at Vanderbilt University and co-author of the new book, Represent: The Unfinished Fight for the Vote. Michael, why do you think this conspiracy theory about Haitian migrant population in Springfield continues to be so pushed by right-wing media circles and by the president, the former president?
Well, in a word, it's part of the big autocracy, the rule, reign, and tyranny of a collection of bigoted figures. And by bigot, I mean, as Howard Thurman said, a bigot is a person who makes an idol of his or her commitments, a fetish of their own particular beliefs. And this man has consistently denounced others. You remember he called Haiti a shithole country. This is an extension of the same attempt to both smear Vice President Kamala Harris by refusing to call her by her rightful name. That is a racist trope that has been deployed by many on the right. It's not an innocent mistake, because if you mispronounce her name and you're corrected and you continue to mispronounce her name, it's the extension of calling black people what you will call them, regardless of what their names are. But when you look even beyond that, this notion that black people are consuming dogs and cats because they're Haitian, and then misnaming the country that he will deport them to. This is all a discombobulated bubble of bigotry that continues to operate within Donald Trump's imagination. And unfortunately, many on the right wing, other conservatives, have not called him on it, which means, therefore, they're complicitous in his bigotry and an extension of his poisonous worldview.
Scott, I mean, the former president had the opportunity to, walk back his comments about this, what he's saying about Haitians in Springfield. He was asked about the bomb threats that have closed schools in the area. It chose not to address something that is actually happening there and affecting the lives of school kids there. Do you wish he would walk this back?
I wish he would stick to the facts of what's happening about immigration in this country. It is a legitimate debate to have about what's happening in communities where you have influx of immigration, whether it's legal or illegal, and whether that's the kind of immigration system that we need. I think that's a conversation the country is interested in having, and I think it gets diluted and, frankly, lost. The macro issues get lost when we get wrapped up in these other sidebar issues or these other issues that maybe aren't grounded in reality. So, yeah, look, I think immigration and the economy are the two issues on which he can and might win the election. And the immigration issues we have in places all over the country, whether it's Ohio or New York City or anywhere else, are bad enough that you don't have to dabble in things that are not true.
Same thing, same old story, trying to create some sort of division, some sort of fear mongering and stuff. And they say Trump does this fear mongering. He doesn't. The media does. Anyway, let's watch another video from CNN. Oh, shoot. I was going to get you guys. Give me a moment. All right, let me get the link for you. Let me get the link for you guys. It's just a bunch of lies, bro. Bunch of lies.
Harris just wrapping up a rally in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and that location is important to note. It's a county that Trump won in 2020. Priscilla Alvarez is out front. She's in Wilkes-Barre. And Priscilla, you've been learning more about Harris's strategy moving forward, and she has been spending, 6 of the past 7 days in Pennsylvania. And I know from what you were seeing today, you got a taste of the strategy we're going to see in these future days.
That's exactly right, Aaron. Sources have been telling me that the vice president is expected to up her travel to these more rural and red counties in an attempt to peel off voters from former President Donald Trump. And today is a glimpse of that. The vice president going to 2 counties that Donald Trump won in 2020 and won by double digits. Now, we saw something similar a few weeks ago when the vice president also did a swing through South Georgia, again hitting those rural red counties. Now, a campaign official telling me that they're trying to up her support in these areas, and that all of it is a reflection of how close they see this race, that even if they can peel off a few voters.
They keep playing these songs in the background. YouTube doesn't like it. Okay, let me look for something else for us to analyze. Let me see if we could. All right, we could push it forward. We could push it forward. 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 Right.
Trump doing? He's tripled down on conspiracy theories about Springfield, Ohio, and migrants there. Obviously, also talking about the border. Harris has been focusing on saying, well, this is hate and division. That's what it's about. Is he helping her make her case? I mean, do you think this is hurting him right now or not?
Well, look, I'd like to see the president focus more of his time on the issues that people, are telling everybody that they care about, right? The economy, home ownership, things that keep polling very high, and not focus on things like, missing geese and stray dogs. I think, it's kind of laughable. Kamala Harris is talking about division, but at the same rally, she's up there talking about, it's basically lying, not spreading disinformation about President Trump's Project 2025. He's going to take your abortions away, right to abortion away. All things which President Trump, Aaron, as you know, has disavowed, has said on the record numerous times. I won't sign an abortion ban. Project 2025, I disavow. It's everywhere. They're good people on both sides. She continues to say the same old lies over and over again, and nobody's checking her. And the thing that she's not talking about, Aaron, in these counties that she goes to, which I applaud her for going to Luzerne and Lackawanna County and Wilkes-Barre there, and then going to Cambria County and Johnstown today, because people need to see her. They need to hear from her. And once they do hear from her, she's going to lose by even worse, because she gave an interview today or maybe it was yesterday, to an ABC affiliate in Philly. When asked what she's going to do for the economy, she talked about growing up as a kid. She didn't answer the question. She hasn't answered anybody's questions.
Ashley?
She needs to start answering questions. I agree with Jim Clyburn. Get out there and answer questions. Talk to people.
Ashley.
I mean, speaking of not answering questions, I don't think David actually answered your question, which is, and that's really
the problem with I said Trump shouldn't do it.
Do what, though? What's he should not be doing? Stoking the flames?
He shouldn't keep talking about missing cats and dogs. He shouldn't keep talking about cats and dogs.
But it's actually the effect of what he's saying. See, I mean, the reality is that Trump's words are incredibly powerful. We've seen this before. When he came down that escalator and he called Mexicans rapists, then he became the president, and he signaled to a white nationalist. Racial tension was at an all-time high, and people across America were feeling threatened by what the president was saying. Their lives were feeling threatened by what the president's saying, and that's what we're seeing right now. And I think the sad thing is the silence of what the president's saying. They're not disavowing what the president's saying, and the effect of his words. That's what's sad about this. And I think that's what the vice president was talking about today. Is the question that's before us now is, do we want to live in that Donald Trump America? Do we want to go back to a time where we were, your neighbors, your family, your friends were feeling very threatened, their lives feeling threatened by, literally and figuratively, by the president's words?
Campaign narrative as well, that she is
same thing every single time. People are scared. People's lives are affected. Sit down. I want to go back to the time when the gas prices were affordable.
Fox News alert, Kamala Harris just bombed her first solo interview. She couldn't answer basic questions and struggled to say how she was different than Joe Biden. We'll have more on that in a second. Last night, Trump said there was no way he was doing another debate. Tonight, he's a little more open.
What would it take to do another debate? What would you need and want?
I wouldn't need anything. I could do it tomorrow.
Would you do it on
But
Fox
I've done 2
News?
debates. Everything was crooked in the second one. I did great with the debates, and I think they've answered everything. But maybe if I got in the right mood, I don't know. Right now I'm leading, and I'm leading in every single poll on the debates. Thank you very much.
So how do you put Trump in the mood? Will you give him a fair fight?
I thought the debate was great. I thought I did very well, but I was fighting 3 people. I was fighting the crazy left radical lunatics at ABC, I think considered the worst broadcaster out there. George Slopadopoulos, that whole group, they're bad. And I lost a lot of respect for David Muir, a guy who has good hair, but not as good as it was 5 years ago.
We predicted Trump said, he didn't want to debate as a negotiation tactic, to give him a little leverage to choose better moderators. Because what happened this week can't happen again.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent? The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country.
Biden's Justice Department just released their National Crime Victim Survey. Crime's actually up 37%. But you don't really need statistics to know crime's up. Just open your eyes. Kamala spewed hoaxes and lies about Trump, wasn't fact-checked once, but that was part of the plan. The other moderator, Kamala's sorority sister, Lindsay Davis, said CNN never fact-checked the first debate between Biden and Trump, and we saw what happened there. So ABC decided to step in. Quote, people were concerned that statements were allowed to just hang out and not be disputed by the candidate Biden at the time or the moderators. So the refs were crooked, and they bragged about it in a newspaper. It's so blatant that even Democrats are demanding a full investigation into the debate. Here's Clinton's former advisor. Listen.
I think that the day after suspicion here is really quite high, and I think that I think a review of all their internal texts and emails it really should be done by an independent party to find out to what extent they were planning on in effect, fact-checking just one candidate and in effect rigging the outcome of this debate. And I think this situation demands nothing less than that.
Trump should have known what was coming. Live fact-checking should have been a part of the debate negotiations with ABC. And Kamala telegraphed her strategy of provoking him. We told you, whoever was put on the defensive was going to lose. Trump's advisors put so much emphasis on him remaining calm and presidential that he forgot to follow his instincts and take control of the debate. We told him to turn to Kamala and ask her questions. Remember we talked about that? You can even speak directly to the moderators and say, guys, why don't you ask her why she keeps changing her positions? Go, ask her. The one time Trump did it, it really worked.
You should ask. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
Even if it wasn't a perfect performance, Trump's message came across loud and clear. Kamala's didn't. Nobody knows where she stands, and she's still behind in the polls. Trump's numbers went up. Even Kamala's friends in Congress won't say what she stands for.
Do you have concerns that there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding Harris and what she exactly stands for and what she'll do as president?
I think you guys have to find another line of attack because she addressed all of the questions that were raised to her about so-called policy reversals. But you tell me why J.D. Vance went from being a never-Trumper to being a forever Trumper. I'm not going to answer for Kamala Harris, okay?
Is this more about focusing on getting Harris elected and then kind of working out the policy specifics later?
I mean, the narrative out there is like she doesn't have policy chops. That's crazy. Yeah, I disagree that she's changed her mind on all of those issues.
So you're not worried about the ambiguity surrounding Harris this close to Election Day?
I'm worried about the ambiguity surrounding Donald Trump. I'm also worried about his health because he didn't look good.
I think that she is her own person, and we have seen notable, we've seen her record in its totality.
We're less than 2 months from the election, and Democrats won't tell us Kamala's agenda. Behind the scenes, CNN reports that Kamala's internal numbers and battlegrounds are looking rough. And as pumped as Harris aides are about her debate performance earlier this week, they don't think it changed any of that. Top aides on the Harris campaign told CNN they fear if the election were held next Tuesday instead of 8 Tuesdays from now, Trump still would be in a good position to win. Kamala may have raised a lot of cash after the debate and demonstrated that she's more coherent than Biden, but she still looks completely lost.
Madam Vice President, how are you feeling about Pennsylvania?
I am feeling very good about Pennsylvania because there are a lot of people in Pennsylvania who deserve to be seen and heard. That's why I'm here in Johnstown. And I will be continuing to travel around the state to make sure that I'm listening as much as we are talking.
I'm feeling very good about Pennsylvania because there are a lot of people who deserve to be seen and heard. Who talks like that? Normal politicians would say, feeling great about Pennsylvania. It's a key state. Joe Biden and I have done a lot for the people of Pennsylvania. Rattle off a list of what you did, then rattle off the list of things you're going to do. Attack Trump, crack a joke, say goodbye. What's so hard about that? The woman looks frozen. Earlier in the day, she gave her first solo interview to Brian Taff. Ever heard of him? We hadn't either. He's a local action news anchor for the local ABC station in Philly. And Kamala could not get it together.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this, in creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business.
The question was, how are you going to bring down prices? And Kamala's answer was, I grew up around construction workers who took care of their lawns. And then I heard something about ambition and aspiration. Kamala's only idea to fight inflation was price controls, but she's not allowed to say that anymore because it's stupid. So she has nothing to say and just runs out the clock with childhood stories. And it got worse.
Some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, you know, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work. And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore.
What did she just say? How are you different than Joe Biden? The entire goal of her campaign is to separate herself from Joe Biden. The campaign slogan is a new way forward. It's a new way forward from Joe Biden. So how exactly are you a new way forward? She couldn't answer. The interview continued.
Another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life.
Joe Biden's child tax credit is $3,000 and Kamala's is $6,000. Of all the things, border, inflation, crime, Israel, housing, the only difference between Kamala and Joe Biden is a $3,000 difference in the child tax credit. She continued.
My approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century around, again, capacity, but also challenges.
She's focused on today, but she's also focused on tomorrow. And not just around capacity, but also challenges. She doesn't have any new ideas. She can't say how she's different than Joe Biden. And she's so nervous you can hear her swallowing. Maybe she's nervous because she doesn't see a path to victory. New York Times polling says 63% of voters blame her for the border. 54% blame Kamala for rising prices. And the voters understand what the media doesn't. Kamala's been in the White House for 3.5 years, didn't deliver. And the country needs a change.
There are a lot more questions. Of course, I would love to ask Kamala Harris about her leadership style and her plans and how she plans to execute. But Are those undecided voters saying, I'm going to kind of lean Trump here because I want change? I don't get it.
Mika doesn't get that people want change because high crime and high prices and open borders don't penetrate her beautiful cocoon. And to many successful people on TV, yeah, it doesn't penetrate. But to an American that cares about the country and cares about the American people, she should see how working Americans have gotten hammered by Biden-Harris. They don't get it, and they don't want to get it. It's tough to admit your party failed, easier to admit the other party's in a cult.
I don't think the polling's going to get better for him, but his cult base is locked in. This now, anytime he loses, it was rigged. And, you know, it is really depressing that people are stooping to that level, but that's what's going on.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox.
If you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We stream every single day. Okay, so we are streaming and we are on our way, counting down to November 5th, Election Day, right? Yes. Okay, next video.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Waters, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Shannon Bream, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Donald Trump showing up in Kamala's backyard, California, for yet another one of his signature blockbuster press conferences. The former president working like the Energizer Bunny, taking one question after the other. Something our press-shy VP couldn't dream of doing, given that she hasn't done a solo presser in 54 days since being crowned as Queen of the Democrats. Trump throwing everything in the kitchen sink at her.
I'm here today in California with a very simple message for the American people. We cannot allow Comrade Kamala Harris and the communist left to do to America what they did to California. Kamala was the godmother of sanctuary cities. Is a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist. She never worked at McDonald's. She said she stood over those French fries when they were being fried, and it was so tough work. She never worked there. She's a liar.
The former president talked for over an hour, but Kamala did speak today, too, responding to one reporter's question, and it was a doozy.
About Pennsylvania.
I am feeling very good about Pennsylvania because there are a lot of people in Pennsylvania who deserve to be seen and heard. That's why I'm here in Johnstown.
Kamala could be getting a free car when she chats with DNC Speaker Oprah Winfrey next week. I can't wait. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is unloading on the biased ABC debate moderators who went on a fact-check rampage against him, while letting Harris hoaxes fly.
I thought the debate was great. I thought I did very well, but I was fighting three people. I was fighting the crazy left radical lunatics at ABC. I lost a lot of respect for David Muir. He came at me with things, and a guy who has good hair, but not as good as it was 5 years ago. David Muir tried to correct me when I said that crime is rampant like never before. This foolish man, this foolish fool.
Oh, this foolish fool. So we're still talking about the debate, Judge Jeanine.
Well, I want to talk about Kamala.
Sure.
I want to talk about the fact that when they asked her how she was feeling about Pennsylvania, she says, I feel good about Pennsylvania because there's a lot of people. And then, like, what did she say? You see, she can't say anything unless she's scripted, Harold. You're going to have to admit that. But let's talk about where we are. The race is unchanged. Even Kamala's aides say that the race is unchanged. The ultimate challenge is for Kamala to be able to get people to support her because Trump's numbers are not moving. They are solid. They're not going anywhere. And she believes she's got to disqualify him. So what is she going to do? She's going to lie for the next few weeks. All right. She's going to say everything she needs to say, to make people believe he's going to take away their Social Security, he's going to take away health care. I mean, all stuff that's been debunked. And obviously the media is not going to help him with any of that stuff. But the crazy part about this is that Trump and Vance have done 48 interviews and she and Waltz have done 8. Now she wants to do Oprah Winfrey, I hear. Now, that should be interesting. I can't imagine that's going to be a tough one for her. But at the end of the day, it's 54 days, and she still hasn't done a solo presser. And she said now she's saying she needs more debate. She's the one who turned down the debate at Fox in the beginning of September. Now she's feeling confident, and she wants more debates. But in the end, it's not going to do her any good. No one has changed. She hasn't changed anyone's mind. It's like she got out there and she spoke, and people were like, "Wow, she can talk for 2 minutes. She's good." And finally, I want to remind you of what Sanders said. He said, Bernie Sanders, her values never changed. I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. She's just pragmatic about what she needs to do to get elected.
Mm-hmm. Greg, you saw Donald Trump out in California talking about Kamala not ever working at McDonald's, talking about David Muir's hair. Mm-hmm. How did you think the president did out there?
I was just listening to him, and I was focusing on the issues, unlike you, Jesse. He talked about this. It's kind of a sense of how America is with sanctuary cities and crime, homelessness, mental illness. It's as though the chickens have come home to roost, which is a phrase I just coined. Every time the Democrats remove a boundary or a limit or a disincentive, it has a consequence, and it's a consequence they never mention. So when you see crime and the chaos and the frustration of the American people, those are the consequences. But there's one consequence that the Democrats should feel most responsible for: Donald Trump. He's the direct, they hate him, but he is the direct result of what they wrought. Democrats abandoned the foundations and structure of society, whether it's on the border, support for police, civil order, patriotism. These are all kind of together you feel and sense a decline. Do you think Trump would have even run if the state of the country was fine? Do you think he'd be doing this if crime, immigration, foreign policy, economy was operating under reasonable conditions? If he couldn't make it better, if he couldn't make it, even if as a self-interest person, you don't go in when things are going great, because then you look bad when it goes down. You go in at the bottom so you look good.
I always go in at the bottom.
That is true, Jesse, but let's leave your personal life out of this.
You sicko.
I don't think it's the MAGA movement that inspired Trump. It was the Democrats who drove this country down. Trump is fueled by the same thing that Americans are. We're just fed up with being fed up.
He's a turnaround artist. He came in 2016, did turn things around, and then it got wrecked. He's now coming back, looking for another comeback. You think he's got it?
Well, I remember talking to him in 2015, doing an interview when he was talking again about running for president. We all sort of said, is this another head fake? Because he does this and everybody gets very excited and wants to hear what he has to say. And when we were wrapping up that interview, he said to me, I don't feel like you're taking me seriously. And I said, because I think you've got so much at stake. And he said, that's why the only reason I would run, this is back in 2015, is if I thought I had to do it to save the country. I think that's truly where he's motivated from all those years ago. And listen, if most of the mainstream media, supporters of the vice president think she won the other night. And if you believe that, then you should want her to do the press conference that we saw with him today, where he's talking economy and border and crime and water usage rights. I mean, why not let her go out and show that she can do those things? She's got some caution from within her own party. Representative Clyburn, remember, just days ago said, I don't really think you should do the one-on-one interviews because they drill down and then you may end up saying something that could be used negatively against you. But that's the whole point of vetting a candidate.
It is. Harold, do you think she's going to get drilled down on when she does the big Oprah interview?
I hope so. I hope that they get substance. Well, you asked the question. I'm going to answer the question. Belated happy birthday again.
Oh, thanks, and thank you for the robe. Thank you for the robe. Though it is kind of short, but that's okay.
By design.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of both candidates doing more press conferences. I agree with you, Shannon. I think they should do another debate. I've said before, it's really an affront to the country that the two people who want to be president, who want the privilege of serving us as president, won't stand side by side at least 3 times. The idea that we're going to allow candidates to dictate to us when and if they're going to debate is something foreign. I hope that we end the tradition after this race. 2, in a democracy, the point of it is to give voters a choice. I think the choice that both candidates are giving us right now, Judge, about the economic policies, the only thing I've heard concretely is that President Trump wants no taxes on tips and overtime pay. Interesting ideas at a time in which we have a $36 trillion debt. I'm just curious what does that do for growth? And then she wants to provide down payment assistance for home ownership, first-time homeowners, and provide child care credits. I get the rationale for it, but how does that fit into an overall kind of economic plan? Neither of the candidates have laid any of that out, from education to health care. We've heard a little bit about the border. Think about this. We are paying this year $1 trillion in interest payments on our debt. That's more than we pay for national defense. The first time that has ever happened. I didn't hear a question from ABC about that. I do wish the president would stop complaining about the refs. You're a grown man. You're a rich man. You're a former president. Stop complaining. Give us your ideas. And for Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, we need more than that. Saying you're here to give people and give voice and give face to supporters, and I'm for you. We need more than that. The country needs to hear more about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Because if you're elected, whether you're Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, you want to have somewhat of a mandate to do something. You may not get the overall 55-45 vote or a commanding 300 plus electoral votes, but give the country a sense of what you want to do on the big issues that confront us each and every day. And thus far, we don't have that.
The country has had the benefit of seeing what Trump can do with the Trump tax cuts and seeing what Kamala is doing with the inflation and the economy and the immigration.
When you go to the iPhone store in the coming days, you're going to order the iPhone 16. No one's clamoring for the iPhone 11. They want to know what do we have coming ahead of us?
I want the iPhone that's going to work, and I want the immigration policy that's going to keep these people out.
And he has yet to give us. All I'm saying is, Judge, I hear you. And
good.
I know you hear me too. And if I'm not, you're defending your position. I get it. I just want them to stand side by side and let's get some issues in this next time they have this debate. When you have the press conference, Vice President Harris, I want them to query you about how do you plan to do these things? Are you concerned about the debt? No one ever asked President Trump about the debt. So these are the things I'm concerned about.
So then you agree the moderators didn't ask the cutting questions, right, Harold?
I would have asked different questions.
Good. Thank you.
Get a room, you two. Honestly, get a room. Click here to subscribe.
Okay. You've heard Fox. Like I always do, I always go between Fox, CNN, and then I give my review. The fact is, we have seen what President Donald J. Trump did when he was president. We saw the gas prices, we saw the mortgage rate, we saw the border, we saw Ukraine and Russia wasn't in this type of turmoil they are in right now. We saw Israel and the Palestinian people. None of this was happening. So, I feel like former President Donald J. Trump's performance speaks for itself. Like I played for you guys. You saw the Opportunity Zone. You saw the First Step Act, prison reform. You saw the funding of HBCUs. You saw all of these things, Abraham Accords, results. Okay, you saw the performance. So I feel like he's having a debate based on performance and what he's done before. However, Kamala is the current vice president. She's running based on what she's going to do. And that's kind of hard because you are the current vice president. What have you done? Okay. According to sources, the sources is they're saying that she was the border czar. She was assigned to secure the border, but the border isn't secured. So what are we doing?
We've got some special guests at the table tonight, but first, I have some beef with one of you. Watch.
Have I Got News for You is coming to CNN this fall. Pros and cons list.
Pro, hosted by Roy Wood Jr.
Pro, with Amber Ruffin.
Pro, with Michael Ian Black.
Oh. Con, people might confuse you with Abby Phillip.
Pro, People might confuse me for Abby Phillips.
Are you not Abby Phillips?
Bro, you know I'm not.
I was told this was going to be with Abby Phillips. I love her.
It's Abby Phillip. There's no S.
Okay.
And Michael Ian Blacks joins me now at the table, along with Roy Wood Jr. and Amber Ruffin. Welcome.
Hi, Abby Phillip.
Hi, Michael Ian Black.
Now, I know I'm not the first person to make that mistake.
No,
Okay.
no. I've been told it's a sign of respect.
Oh.
Okay. Roy, you're the captain of this new show. The CNN original series, Have I Got News for You? It's going to serve up an edgy and comedic take on the news of the week. Starts tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to the table. But you guys are mortal enemies because you're team captains on opposite ends
On
of
screen,
things.
we're mortal enemies.
Yeah.
Off screen, we're mortal enemes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but it's
don't touch her.
I love her. I mean, she's no Abby Phillips, but I love her.
So let's. I am very curious because Michael, you have written a children's book about one Donald Trump.
I have.
How would you explain this past week's debate to my 3-year-old or a 4-year-old?
I would say to your three-year-old, turn off the television. Do anything else other than watch what you're seeing on the debate stage right now. Like, it's not healthy for adults. I don't know that it's healthy for a child.
What happened? How did you see it?
I saw the debate. I feel like we're in a space now, and we were just talking about this on set earlier. Is a debate still a place for a candidate to present policy points in 90-second digestible chunks? Or is it a place to just figure out who's less crazy?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 2-hour field sobriety test. That's really what a debate is. Who can not say they're eating the dogs?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Who can
hard.
do that?
It's hard to say. It's hard not to say.
Well, especially
It's hard
when
not
it's
to
happening.
accuse people of eating dogs.
Yeah, when it's
hard.
happening, they say it's happening. I heard it's happening, so it's happening.
No, but Kamala spanked him so bad because all she had to do was be a normal human being on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And she achieved that within the first 10 seconds. It was beautiful.
It almost seems like the debate unlocked something in Trump. Like, after that, it was Laura Loomer. It was, just hanging out with these conspiracy theorists. He doubled down on the cats and the dogs. And then earlier today, here's what he said about her and her old job at McDonald's.
And then you have Kamala's claim that she worked at McDonald's. She never worked at McDonald's. It's a lie. They went in, they investigated it, and the fake news won't report that. She said she stood over those French fries when they were being fried, and it was so tough work. She never worked there. She's a liar.
It's the new birther conspiracy.
Man.
Did she work at a McDonald's in Kenya? Like, where is this McDonald's exactly? It's so absurd.
Donald Trump is coming for your job.
Nobody would lie about making burgers. It's one of the hardest, toughest things you can do. Nobody is going to just say to McDonald's.
The argument was that she didn't put it on her resume when she was applying for don't laugh. I mean, but the real truth is, who would put McDonald's on your resume when you're applying for like a legal job?
Unless you go into Burger King, there's no reason to put McDonald's on a resume. At what point is this law firm calling the McDonald's to see if you are good with reading the briefs? I don't know any other legal word other than brief.
Reading the briefs, you got it.
Are you reading the habeas corpus and the top?
I was stuck on duplicitous. I was like, raw.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I went to college for 5 years, but I finished.
Trump is really, he's in a weird place, I think, psychologically, where he's kind of falling back on his own instincts about how to operate in politics. And it's this kind of stuff. It's like, we got to go after the French fries and whether she was really there. We have to go after, the way she laughs. We have to say that maybe she's half or not really black. I don't know.
I don't like Donald Trump's policies, and I don't like his behavior, but I love when he shouts a lie with all of his heart. It's crazy. I love it. She never worked at McDonald's. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
That's been his entire political career. It's just yelling lies and people loving it.
Well, it worked for a long time. And I think the one thing, even on this network right after the debate, when they were talking with the people who had been, I guess, kind of sequestered and hadn't watched any post-debate coverage, and they were talking to, kind of a round table of undecided voters here, is the idea that out of this debate, we finally have undecided voters who just said, I would have liked to have heard more about her policies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're going back to 2000.
Do you think that's real? I mean, to your point earlier, do you think people really want to hear what she thinks, or is that like a way of saying, I can't trust this lady until some indefinite time in the future?
I think those people are moving the goalposts, but I would rather them say that than be coming on TV echoing the lies that Trump said. I think this close to the election, if you are still an undecided voter, to some degree, you're a lazy voter who's not trying. You're not going out and seeking out the stuff. So to say you have not seen her say a thing about the thing, it's been 2 years of campaigning, man. What link did you not click? What did you not scroll by? What's in your algorithm where you haven't seen at least one thing that you know she's about? And if you're gonna argue she flip-flopped on whatever, because that's the new thing they're pulling now, right? Like, oh, you said this, but now you're saying this. Go to the website, go to the Instagram.
Well, she did change her positions on a lot of things, but so has Donald Trump. I wonder, though, Taylor Swift has entered the chat and she's endorsed. What do you think is the impact, ultimately, of her jumping in for Kamala Harris?
Well, clearly, celebrity endorsements are debatable in terms of the effect that they have, but does anybody move the needle like Taylor Swift does? What was that thing about thousands and thousands and thousands of people were registering when she put that endorsement out? And I'm guessing most of those people are not going to end up voting Trump.
What's been the vibe at her concerts? You've been to a few.
I've been to many of them.
How many have you been to?
52.
Oh, I didn't realize we had a Swiftie at the table. Okay. Speaking of celebrity endorsements.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you for calling me a celebrity. I assume that's where you were heading with this.
No.
He was not calling you a celebrity. Michael. I'm sorry.
I see.
Sorry,
this is actually a celebrity unendorsement. This one comes from Robert De Niro. Here's what he had to say about Trump.
He's a jerk. He's an idiot. Who wants to meet a clown like that? He thinks he's a gangster. He does everything like a gangster. I don't think that gangsters in that world would think much of him.
This is a guy who knows gangsters. He's played 14 of them.
Yes.
So people will listen, I presume.
Do you think this broke Trump's heart to hear?
It had to.
It had to sting, right?
De Niro's a quintessential New Yorker. So to get, it's one thing for him to say, yay, Kamala, but for him to call him not a gangster. And
He's
say that
an
nobody,
idiot.
Yeah, that one's got to sting.
It's going to sting.
I just don't know how much ultimately. So I believe that celebrities can bring attention to the issues, but I think it's on the politicians and their charisma or lack thereof in terms of retention. Okay, you register all these people to vote. Please go to the polls. Please deal with the nonsense that's going on. Please deal with all of the voter fraud and all of the nonsense because most of these people, wherever they live, there's some law being put in place to make the act of voting more difficult as well. And so whether or not the celeb endorsement is sustainable beyond that, but if Taylor Swift is getting people to pay attention to politics, it is net positive. Same as Meg Thee Stallion coming out on stage in Atlanta. The same as, I hate to say it, Hulk Hogan and
Kid Rock?
Kid Rock and Amber Rose. Yeah, anybody that just people go, ooh, I like you. Okay, well, tell me about abortion laws.
No one moves the needle like Hulk Hogan. Nobody can do it.
All right, so Roy, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., you're watching CNN. What are we going to see?
You're going to see three amazing people right here making sense of everything that happened this week in news.
And it's not just, it's a lot of politics, but it's not just politics.
No, absolutely. I wouldn't even say that it's politically dominant. It's just what has been the conversation in the zeitgeist across the gamut. It could be the debate. It could be all the way to Shannon Sharp and him not knowing how to use Instagram Live. There is a spectrum of topics that we could get into. But the show, the Mothership show has been on for almost 35 seasons in England. So we're in good hands. And it's a format that's been done well overseas. And so we're bringing it over here.
Is there a winner at the end of the day?
If my team wins, then yes. If her team wins, no. Then it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please.
It'll be
Well,
Amberstein.
Look, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make my team the winning team. Will I pay Roy money? Yeah. Will I
Bribery
kick
is acceptable.
Michael in the shins? Yeah.
But it's simple. If you have watched a quiz show before, if you have watched the news, if you are up on those two things, you will understand the format of the game. We're using a quiz show format with no money and no points to present and have a conversation about topics with amazing guests that come on every week as well.
So can you tell us who the other comedians are, or is that a secret?
Well, no, it's not just comedians that are guests.
Okay.
So on tomorrow night, it's Matt Welch, and we're going to have Robin Thede.
There's a MAGA civil war.
So, you heard Robert De Niro talk about Trump is not a gangster, and then these people say Robert De Niro is an actual gangster because he played gangsters in movies. Bro, it's called a script. It's not real life. It's scripted stuff. However, former President Trump built buildings in New York. So if you're talking about someone who actually has balls, who you could actually say this guy could be somewhat of a gangster, I would vote for former President Trump. Because to build a building like that in New York, you must have some skin in the game. Robert doesn't have any building like that in New York, 100%. Trump Tower. And Trump didn't only build Trump Tower in New York. He's built multiple high rise in New York. So please, man. Please, y'all stop talking about an actor to somebody who actually does this shit. Sit your ass down.
Well, switching gears, former President Trump and Vice President Harris facing off in a lively debate on Tuesday night, talking policy and trading insults. The moderators only seeming to fact check Donald Trump. Watch.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But the question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin?
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
Joining me now is former Bush senior advisor and Fox News contributor Karl Rove. Karl, good morning. And you wrote an op-ed, which this morning is still the most read op-ed piece on the Wall Street Journal's website, titled "A Catastrophic Debate for Trump," which reads in part, as is frequently the case with Mr. Trump, he let his emotions get the better of him and did a terrible job at his most important task, tying her to President Biden's failed policies. There's no putting lipstick on this pig. Mr. Trump was crushed by a woman he previously dismissed as dumb as a rock, which raises the question, what does that make him? So can you expand on this? Again, it's still #1 on the website this morning, Karl.
Well, thank you for that. But look, I'm amazed. He was ill prepared for this debate. Everybody knew that that ABC was going to fact check. They said they were going to do it. So be prepared for it. First of all, he should have remembered EIB/TW, economy, inflation, border. Any time spent talking about something else was wasted time. And occasionally, if the world came up, if somebody else, if Kamala Harris or the panelists brought up, the questioners brought up the world, talk about that. But that's what this is where he's winning, if he talks about the economy, inflation, and the border. So fact checking, call him on it. What was amazing to me was she said things that were clearly not true. And he let it, the ABC wasn't going to call her. She said that he presided over the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. And he could have said, look, I don't know where that came from. When I left office, the unemployment was 6.4%, and that's after we had that terrible incident with COVID, as you know. But it was higher under Jimmy Carter. Do you remember that? It was higher under Harry Truman. So I noticed you didn't call her on that. And then look for another opportunity. You know, the next time it happened, she said, no U.S. troops are in conflict. He could have said, I noticed you didn't call her. It doesn't matter what the next question to him was. He could have said, I want to take a moment. I noticed you didn't call her on that. U.S. troops are in Syria and under fire. They're in Iraq under fire. We have U.S. naval vessels in the Red Sea and the Mediterranean helping defend Israel and with Houthis shooting missiles at them. So maybe she didn't know that, which says something about her ability as vice president, or it says something about you not calling her on it. And do that once or twice, and it would have at least set the message, set the tone, and probably prompted them to fall back a little bit with all of the fact-checking.
We have an example of one of those pieces that you're mentioning here. Let's play it for our viewers. I want to get you to react to this one.
Is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Carl, more examples.
Yeah, and look, he knew this was going to happen. So, Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, Laura Loomer. Why didn't somebody in that room say, Mr. President, it's ABC. They're going to be fact checking, and you can count on the dominant media fact checking you more than her. So let us arm you with a technique and look for the opportunity. And maybe they did. Maybe he didn't do it. But I'm going to tell you, that was only one of the two major shortcomings. I think the other major shortcoming was they knew she was going to provoke him. First of all, remember, any time spent on talking anything other than the economy, inflation, the border, and if somebody else brings it up, the world, is wasted time. So they knew he was going to be provoked. They knew that she was going to find some way, and she did it effectively, and he bit every time. Your crowd size of people, get tired and leave. What he should have said was, you know what? I know what you're trying to do. You don't want to talk about the economy, inflation, or the border, so you're bringing up these side issues, but it's not going to work with me. And the next time she tried to provoke him, he could say, you know what? Nice try, not going to work. I'm going to stay focused on the things the American people care about. You keep trying those childish debate tactics, and that's fine by me. You're not going to get to me. And he would have come across as, laughing. He could have been confident. He could have been strong. But instead, he didn't. He took the bait, and he shouldn't have taken the debate, and he should have flipped it back, whatever it was, back to economy, inflation, border, and if it was in a part of the conversation about the state of America and the world, talk about that.
Okay, Carl. So here's the next question. Does it move the needle? Because both candidates are hitting more battleground states. Today, he's going to Nevada. She's going to Michigan. We had these new Fox News power rankings showing a shift in support away from him in Georgia and North Carolina. This now makes both of these key states toss-ups. 78 electoral votes shown to also be toss-ups in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Wisconsin. This is anybody's game, Carl. You know this with 53 days left.
Right.
And you say, again, in this op-ed, many undecided and swing voters are going to make up their minds less on any single issue than on their visceral reactions to the candidates. Can you expand on that a little bit?
And I also said in there that this is not going to help her as much as they think, and it's not going to hurt him as much as Team Trump might fear, but it is going to have an impact. And this thing is so tight. I mean, take a look at the Real Clear Politics averages, or the 538 averages. In most of these states, the difference, the average gap between these two people is less than 1%, well inside the margin of error. And that's based on 10 or 12 polls in some instances. So even a modest 1% change in how people view these candidates can have a big impact. But no, this race is far from over. There's a long way to go. But this is a warning. This is a lesson. The former president blew the opportunity he had to begin to move her off the front stage and win on the issues of, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, the economy, inflation, and the border. When we're talking about those things, he's winning. When we're talking about abortion or anything else, she's winning.
Before you go, and this is kind of a big question, and I know we have a lot of time, but I have to ask you about the down ballot. I've heard you repeatedly say that the top of the ticket affects the rest of the ballot. I want to ask you, how are you feeling in your overall analysis about Republicans' chances with the Senate and with the House? The House razor-thin margin right now already under Speaker Johnson, which has been a problem this week for him.
I'm feeling increasingly good about the Senate. I think Montana and Ohio are likely to flip along with along with West Virginia, giving the Republicans 52 in the Senate. And then you look at the rest of it from this amazing campaign in Maryland with Larry Hogan, Dave McCormick, one of probably our best single candidate on the field in Pennsylvania, Mike Rogers turning into a terrific candidate in Michigan, Eric Hovde in Wisconsin, really enjoying the campaign and surrounded by a veritable army of daughters who are terrific campaign aides for him. Sam Brown in Nevada, maybe Kerry Lake in Arizona, but I think that we've got an excellent chance for the Republicans to take the Senate. House is a toss-up. 6 months ago, I thought it was lost. 3 months ago, when we had Joe Biden in the race, I thought the Republicans were going to hold it. I think today the most likely outcome is perhaps the Democrats take it. But if they do, it'll be by a narrow margin. The House of Representatives, regardless of whether it has a Republican speaker or a Democratic speaker, is going to have a margin dividing the two parties of single digits like we have today.
Karl Rove,
To me, Donald Trump still won the debate. I don't know about what people think. However, he should have had one of the things that I thought about was when he spoke about the healthcare plan and he said they are working on different concepts. That was like, no. You need to say something, even if you don't have something concrete yet. You need to say, you know what? We're working on something like this. Let me expatiate. Say something about it. But he didn't say anything about healthcare. He said he has a concept, and that may have robbed people off in the wrong way. I don't know. But Donald Trump still won the debate, in my opinion, because he stuck to the facts and he was running based on his past performance. But Kamala is currently running based on what she's going to do, even though she is the current vice president.
Former President Donald Trump is angry, and he doesn't care who knows it. Watch.
People said that I was angry at the debate. I was angry. And yes, I am angry because he allowed 21 million illegal aliens invading our communities. Many of them are criminals. I'm angry. They said he's an angry person. No, they're destroying our country. I am angry about Venezuelan gangs taking over Aurora, Colorado. I'm angry about young American girls being raped and sodomized and murdered by savage criminal aliens. I'm angry about rampant inflation destroying our middle class, and the American people are also very angry about that and every other thing that we've had to endure for 3.5 years. That's why 54 days from now, we are going to tell Harris that we've had enough. Our country can't take it anymore.
Kaylee, you know what I appreciate about this so much is that this is another example of when the left tries to spin President Trump and his emotions as being all about him. And President Trump is sitting there saying, yeah, I am angry. And I'm angry on behalf of all of us for what is being done to this country. Yet again, for the upteenth time, it's actually not about him as a human. It's about him as a fellow American.
And you hit exactly where my thoughts were. Look, McCourtney Institute for Democracy in January did a survey, and they found 9 in 10 Americans are angry about some news event. They could point to one, some political event. And only 4 in 5, or about half, could say they were proud of a particular American political event. I say that because Americans are angry. I am angry. Every day I have to sit here and talk about NYPD officers in Times Square being attacked by an illegal immigrant, a girl in New York City being raped by an illegal immigrant. When I have to get to know the stories of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, and Jocelyn Ngari, who should still be here with us, I get angry. When 13 died at Abbey Gate, I get angry. Hey, I get angry when there's a school shooting and 6 days later there's a presidential debate and ABC finds no time to ask about school shootings, but tons of time to ask about J6 and all of these personal attacks on Trump. But for Trump, and this is the point you hit, and it's so important, Kamala is trying to get him to direct that anger towards his own reasons to be angry at the Trump trials, and the list goes on. And he does have a right to be angry about all that. But if there's another debate, he should pivot that anger away from saying, here's my thoughts on the Trump trials, like you're trying to goad me into doing. I want to go back to the fact that you were asked a question about migrant crime, and you talked about the Trump trials. It's not about me. It's about these women. Say their names. So redirecting that anger, as he did right there brilliantly, to the events in the American political landscape is a winner every day of the week.
And let's talk about winning, Kara. So will this type of sentiment, the fact that, yes, Kayleigh is echoing what so many millions of Americans feel, the outrage, the indignance, the pain, will that translate in November?
I truly hope so, because I sort of see Trump right now as the avatar for the middle class. You know, no matter what Kamala Harris says about her upbringing and whatnot, Tony, neighborhoods in Canada notwithstanding, I really think that Trump has his finger on the pulse of what the everyday American is feeling. And you look at the immigration issue, I thought the House Judiciary Committee was really interesting in terms of their strategy this past week. On Tuesday, they had a hearing where they aired the victims of this open border, Biden-Harris open border issue. And they talked to advocates, they talked to family members, some of which of the women that you just mentioned. And the Democrats were looking at their phones. They were chiding the family members of some of the victims in this instance. And yet you could not watch that, especially as a mom, without tears, understanding the effect that it has on the people who cannot isolate themselves from the consequences of the disastrous policies of the left. So that is what I think the American people are going to be pulling the lever for in November, hopefully.
Yeah, and however, the media will continue to not only smear President Trump, but to paint him as an angry, bitter self. Like, they will still try to construct this fake narrative about him. Will that work?
That is why what Kayleigh said, her advice for the president, channeling that anger into these two topics, the economy and the border / safety, I'll wrap them up, is so crucial. Admittedly, I am a guy, and guys are simple. We like simple messages boiled down to two basic facts at the most. So if I'm Donald Trump, you need to communicate to everybody going forward the following thing. Kamala Harris was part of the Biden-Harris administration for the last 3.5 years. We have record inflation. We have record border crossings. If you don't like that, vote for the other guy. And I'm really driving home this simplicity point. You want the last thing that an undecided in a swing state thinks about before they check a box or pull a lever or do anything is one image. Trump needs, between now and November 5th or whenever early voting begins in a state, to have it so that he is the last thing that people think about before they pull a lever. All the other stuff needs to go to the side, and that's why Kayleigh is so right. Channel that anger.
Ainsley, I wanted to come to you last on this specific point, because as we talk about sort of harnessing the anger and the outrage that so many Americans feel, 90 million evangelicals are eligible to vote in this country, and yet 40 million of them do not, and 15 million are not even registered. Pastor Gary Hamrick had an amazing election sermon where he discussed that statistic and talked about the importance of voting policy, not personality. And so as the left, as the media tries to spin personalities here, when it's really about policy, do you feel that President Trump will be able to harness that very crucial bloc that needs or should be called to step up to vote for these policies that'll help Americans?
I loved when one man said, "What do I tell my children? I have 3 boys." This was at the town hall, and Donald Trump said, "Tell your boys to pray." Evangelicals definitely need to get out there and vote. The abortion issue is very important to them. Kamala Harris couldn't even answer the question whether or not she's for or against 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. When is it too late? When the baby can feel pain, are you okay with that? She couldn't answer it. She didn't answer other questions. When asked, are you better today or are you better under Trump? She couldn't answer it. She spun it to, I grew up in a middle-class family, and started talking about her policies. Look, you might not love Donald Trump, and he said that in the town hall. You might not like me. It is about who's best for your family and what's best for America. We were better under those 4 years with him than we were with her. All the prices, look at the grocery store, the gasoline prices, even just for social issues, policy, fiscally conservative, it's all Donald Trump. I align more with him. What am I concerned with? Immigration, crime, and inflation. I want more money in my bank account, and then we'll spend more money, and the economy will boom again.
Yep, that's right. And what you just articulated, your priorities, that is reflected in the polls, that the vast majority of Americans feel the same. Hey, everyone, I'm Emily.
These are facts, bro. All of these are facts. Were you better under Trump, or are you currently better now? Are you better now? Answer the question.
I feel good.
All right, joining us now, he's on the set in the spin room himself. Did you have fun?
I had a good time. I think it was our best debate ever. I thought it was really good. We had 3 against 1, but I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of negative kind of stuff. Look, I saw on your show last night, they had 100% positive coverage on ABC, and I had 94% negative coverage.
93% negative.
I exaggerated.
You got an extra percent non-negative. As you were with her tonight, to think that we come out of this debate and we have no answer to her co-sponsoring the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, I say the end of capitalism, to come out of this, government-run health care and no answer to eliminating private health insurance.
Well, we brought them all up. Every one of the things that we brought it all up. And I also ended with, why hasn't she done it before? Why didn't she fix, she's there complaining. Why didn't she fix all these things that she's complaining?
Were you really willing to leave the stage and go home if she was going to go fix it in Washington?
No, you know what? I would have left. I would have said, go home and fix it. I'll leave with you, okay? But she's not going to fix it. So she's complaining about all the stuff that's wrong with the country, and they've been there for 3.5 years. And I wanted to save that for my last little summation. And I actually mentioned in there, too. I just thought it was a great debate. I think we showed the weakness. But the sad part is they're destroying our country. When you get right down to it. Good debate. I enjoyed it. But it's a very sad thing because our country is in decline. We are really being laughed at all over the world. And that's tough to take.
Do you think it's strange that somebody could support something as radical as sex change operations paid for by taxpayers for convicts and illegal immigrants, and for illegal immigrants, free housing, health care, education, and not get asked a question about it?
But I brought it up.
You did bring it up.
Of course, they weren't so happy when I brought it up, but I brought it up. I brought up the fact that they're doing sex change operations on illegal immigrants. And those are expensive operations, and they shouldn't be done for a lot of reasons.
There were a lot of things said that weren't true about you tonight, that you would support a national abortion ban. You've never said that.
I never said
that you support Project 25.
Correct.
You never read it? I don't even know what it is either.
I don't want to read it.
Okay, number 2. That she said in 2000, I took back my position on banning fracking. No, CNN fact-checked that and said no. The mandatory gun buyback at the end of the debate, she lied about that too.
That's right. That's
and
right. She wants to confiscate. I called her out on everything that you said. I think I got everything out. Now, with all of that being said, I was amazed because I really thought they'd be fair. I have to say, CNN a few weeks ago was sort of fair against Biden. But this one was stacked. I figured it would be after watching 100% positive coverage of her. And she's done a terrible job as vice president. And look, she's the worst vice president we've ever had. She was the border czar, the worst border ever in the history of the world, not just in our country. And he's the worst president we've ever had.
So
they're destroying our country.
I'm very aware. And if we look at her tax plan, which is, price gauging or gouging, and the largest tax increase not only in American history, but world history, her campaign is saying tonight, Washington Post is reporting, that she wants a second debate. What's your answer?
She lost. She wants it because she lost.
Do you have an answer?
Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. But if you won the debate, I sort of think maybe I shouldn't do it. Why should I do another debate? She immediately said, we want another debate. That's, what happens when you're a prize fighter and you lose. you immediately want a new fight.
You want a rematch.
You want a rematch. The guy that won is sort of happy and thinking about it.
Would you be inclined to say yes, or you
Maybe
don't know?
if it was on a fair network, I would do that. But
I think let Hannity moderate it.
Yeah, no, I think
like
that
I
would be
did Newsom and Ron DeSantis.
I think it would be fair. You would be fair, actually.
I would be
you
fair.
want to know the truth.
I'd let you both talk. I'd let you go at each other.
I thought they would be fair. They weren't, but I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
We have the best policy. She has no policy.
You know, one thing that interested me, because I've known you for a long time, and one of the things that I was watching in you tonight is that you were all business. You know, a lot of times when you're at your rallies or we do a town hall.
Sean, they're destroying our country.
Is that what it was? Is it the seriousness of the moment?
There's nothing to smile about. You know, I'm a good smiler, but there's nothing to smile about. They're destroying. We have 21 million people that have been released into our country, and many of them are criminals and terrorists and people
Laken
from
Riley,
mental institutions.
Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary.
All dead.
I list all these names
I know.
on the show of people murdered, people raped, people victims of violent crime, names a lot of people never heard of. You've called Laken Riley's family.
I did. I was with them.
Who else you've met other families? You met the families of
I met them all.
Afghanistan.
Nungary.
You met Nungary's family.
Yeah, I met 5 or 6 of them. Not even talking about the 13 soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan, the families of the 13 soldiers, which Biden won't even talk to, and he's the one that caused their death. Just as if he had a pistol in his hand, he and her caused their death. Just as if literally they had a gun in their hand.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When you're in a situation like that, what is going through your mind? What goes on behind the scenes? How do you prepare for your debates?
Well, I think I always say I've been preparing all my life for these debates. You know, you can't go in like she did. She goes into a room and she memorized lines, more or less. I thought I got one cute one. I'm talking when I said, I'm talking, when she started interrupting me.
Well, she said that to Mike Pence.
I wanted to get
speaking.
even for that. You know, that was not very nice what she did. But no, I thought it was, we're getting great reviews.
It's interesting that the one line that really stuck out, that did make me laugh out loud, is when you said you're going to send her a MAGA hat. There are a lot of positions now, all of a sudden, she's come over to your side. She's been against the border wall. She's been against...
There's only one problem.
Yeah.
If she ever won, immediately from the day after that election, everything would go back to confiscate your guns and forget about oil and everything else. You know, they were cutting back on oil way back. They got rid of Anwar, the biggest oil site perhaps in the world, in Alaska. They did things that are so bad and so destructive, but energy prices started doubling up, and she immediately went back to the Trump plan. But I would have been now 4 times higher than they are right now, because that was 3.5 years ago.
Right.
When she cut everything out. She went to wind and went to all this other stuff that doesn't work from an economic standpoint and even a visual standpoint. I don't get the wind. You take these gorgeous plains and deserts and all this stuff, they put these windmills up, they go up like a 30-story building in some cases. They destroy everything, they cut out all, and the environmentalists say, aren't they wonderful? But it's the most expensive form of energy, and it's never going to do for our country.
So if we look at the issues on the economy, on immigration, on law and order, on energy, and America's role in the world, is there anything you could point to that you would say they have been successful on?
No, they have been unsuccessful at everything. And even the economy, I said, as part of the economy, you've let 21 million people, more than that, I think, with all the gotaways. That's killing our economy.
Terrorists, and we do have the murders and the rapes and the violent crimes.
Oh, and you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till you see it in the months to come.
You know what scares me, and I've said this on the air, is by having open borders, unvetted illegal immigrants, that I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when that this country is going to be attacked.
If you look at Springfield, Ohio, look at what's happening there. You look at Aurora in Colorado, these beautiful little towns and little cities, small cities, they're being taken over by illegal migrants. I mean, they're people that poured in, and they have weapons like our military doesn't have.
Oh.
You know, they have AK-47s. They have weapons like our military doesn't have. And, you know, some sheriff in one of these towns where he's got 2 deputies, and they're not into this. There's no way they can protect the people from this. But look at what's going on in Springfield today. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
We really appreciate it. I know your people are calling for you to roll. What made you come to the spin room?
I just felt I wanted to. I was very happy with the result. It's a very unfair situation. They've weaponized our government politically, so I mean, that's unfair. And I just felt we had a great night. And I'd come over here. I actually gave a little bit of a news conference. We were swarmed.
Oh, by the way, I could hear it. You were interrupting my show, by the way, just for the record.
I had to come over and do yours. I would hate like heck to leave here, and I didn't do
No, I would be mad. I would take that as a personal offense.
I would have been
doubt.
in big trouble.
All right, so no answer on their offer for a second debate.
Again, the reason you do a second debate is if you lose, and they lost. And we looked at one poll, it was 92-7.
Yeah.
We looked at another one, 86-3.
Wow.
I mean, we have all of these results coming in, but I'll think about it, It's very quick.
Mr. President, thank you for taking time. We really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You've heard from the OG's mouth. Next video.
The liberal media is desperately trying to sweep the attempted assassination of Trump under the rug. And now they're claiming it's dangerous for Trump to bring it up on the campaign trail.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. It's a little tough life. It's not the easiest. You get shot at, other things happen. In the moments after an evil assassin tried to take my life, that sucker was moving fast. I say, wow. I'm here because of that chart. I go, let me see that chart.
The Washington Post pumping out this headline that says, quote, Trump stokes suspicions about assassination attempt, raising fears of more violence. But the American people are not going to shut up about what happened, and even both sides of the aisle are angry about the Secret Service failure to protect the president's life. A Democrat senator is predicting there will be, quote, outrage over a new report on the assassination attempt. Watch this.
I think the American people are going to be shocked, astonished, and appalled by what we will report to them about the failures by the Secret Service in this assassination attempt on the former president.
You know, Jesse, the Secret Service, I think, has clearly lost credibility here. I mean, that's not anything that I think anyone at this table would disagree with. They still have not explained why no one was on the roof. They still did not explain why they didn't have a meeting and why they blamed the locals right off the bat. That clearly is wrong. And they still haven't explained about the shooter communicating with people across the pond in Europe. And yet they think that are watching this as contributing to conspiracies.
And they didn't explain why they cremated the body like that, or why they washed off the roof like that. They haven't explained anything, why they didn't accept the drone, why they didn't go pick up the radios that day. Josh Hawley last night came on the show and said that a whistleblower told him that the female was in charge of this entire trip that Donald Trump took to Pennsylvania. She was the site operator, and she failed her test. She should have never been in that position, but she failed the test, and they still put her in charge of Trump's trip to Pennsylvania. Cheadle, remember, she wanted all 30% women. So they promoted this woman who failed a test to be in charge of security, and Trump got shot in the ear. That's crazy. And we have learned that from a whistleblower, because we still don't have answers from the Secret Service or the FBI. Everything we found out is from whistleblowers. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been found out through any forthcomingness from the agency that blew it. That's what makes people suspicious, not Trump talking about it.
Yeah, and the amazing thing, Shannon, is why can't he talk about it? I mean, the fact that he is still standing and still running, and Google took it down for a significant period of time. What are they afraid of? They're the ones who call him Hitler and, a threat to democracy. This is reality.
And that was the point he made the other night at the debate. If you're using this language about me, people are going to, he would argue, feel a need to neutralize me in some way. I mean, this is a man who was shot at weeks ago. He was hit.
in an attempt to take his life. Of course, he's going to talk about it. It's part of his life and of this campaign. So if he's guilty of stoking fears about the assassination attempt, is that true of Democrat Dick Blumenthal, the senator, as well? Because what he said was way more, I think, heated than what we've heard from President Trump, saying that the American people are going to be shocked and appalled by that. That's some really strong language coming from somebody who had just been briefed. And the idea that Trump talking about it invites his followers to then go after someone else, I think that's the reasoning of this piece. But we've all covered the cases involving Rand Paul and Lee Zeldin and, Steve Scalise.
Yeah.
And listen, it happens on both sides of the aisle, but I don't get telling a presidential contender, a former president who almost got shot in the head, that he shouldn't be talking about it. Confusing.
He
did get shot.
Yeah. Greg, what do you want to say?
I don't think it happens on both sides of the aisle, actually.
Well, just meaning that there was the Gabby Gifford shooting and the Paul Pelosi.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't tell people to shut up. This feels like blaming the victim. It feels like you're silencing the victim. Imagine this in another arena. Please don't talk about your sexual assault because you'll only be asking for more of it. You would not hear that. You would be attacked for that, and justifiably so. This isn't new. The media used this strategy with the George Floyd riots. They tried to silence the outrage over the looting and arson by claiming that the outrage would further racism and oppression. If you kept talking about your neighborhood being trashed, well, you're stoking racism against, the people trashing it, the looters. You're racist because you don't like looters. I was called racist for talking against the rioting and the looting in New York City. The Dems love to talk about phantom violence, the mythical white supremacy in the mountains, Jussie Smollett, banana peels on park benches, nooses in garages, transphobic rhetoric leading to suicide as they silence the manifesto of the trans shooter. They talk about parents in schools inciting violence when they're just trying to keep schools from interfering in their kids' so-called sexuality. They don't talk about the real violence. They don't talk about the assassination. They don't talk about migrant crime, the rapes, the murders, the subway pushers, and basically the deranged mentally ill that we have to face every day when we walk home from work.
He has every right, the president, I imagine you're going to come to me.
Yeah.
The president has every right to talk about the assassination attempt. He was shot. He was a half an inch, if not less, away from even greater harm, or worse, tragic harm, fatal harm. I was pleased to see Senator Blumenthal say what he said, and I hope that gives some calm and projects even more calm as we begin to hear this, and that calm hopefully translates into some change. This investigation, if what he's saying is true, we're going to learn some really, really awful, disturbing things. And I was reminded, this is not to make the equivalency, but within the Uvalde shooting, we heard some information right afterwards, and Judge, you and I commented about how it was only going to get worse. What I do hope happens is that they learn from this, and I hope they have learned from this and are implementing things to ensure that President Trump nor President Biden, for any of the assets they protect, ever have to deal with what had to be dealt with there. But I do think the questions you asked, Jesse, about the roof and all that stuff should be. I'd say one last thing on DEI. Josh, that was an allegation, and I just don't believe that. I think we should be very careful. If there was a woman in charge, do we not hire white guys after Enron? Did we not hire white guys to run banks?
It doesn't even matter if she's a woman and she failed the test. She shouldn't have been promoted.
Exactly.
But I don't know if that is the case. Whether there was a man or a woman.
Yeah, they failed the test.
They should not have gotten
She's covering a president.
I got it. But let's get the facts.
Yeah, well, those are the facts. Here's the problem.
That was an
I'm
allegation,
tired of lessons learned from this. We knew this in 1950, how you cover a president. There's no new lessons that we need to learn. And by the way, why is this administration allowing people to resign? Why aren't people being fired? Why are people being allowed to resign and taking their pensions? There's no consequence with these people. They're complicit with the incompetence. And if it is DEI, why is DEI relevant? Why do you have a woman who's not as tall as the president on his detail? That's all.
Yeah, Harold. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I left the first stream, we were watching the former President Trump at a rally in, was it in Nevada? Let me see. What state was it in?
Victory. We had a beautiful victory 3 months ago, and then
Vegas.
a couple.
Okay, so we were at we were at 35 minutes in. So, you guys want to continue watching the rally, or you're Gucci for the night? Let me know. I'll keep playing it.
And child predators the hell out of our country, and we will not ever, ever, ever let them back in. So Nevada, get out and vote. We win this state, we're going to win the whole thing. We win this, we're going to win the whole thing. If we win this state, we win everything. And the people of Nevada also need to get out and vote for some really great people, and you have to vote against a really terrible, radical left senator named Jackie Rosen. She does a terrible job. We have running a man of the border, and I'm going to introduce you to him, but Jackie Rosen has voted with crooked Joe Biden nearly 100% of the time. She voted for every single inflation-causing spending bill. And she also voted for Joe Biden's open borders bill to set a minimum of 2 million illegal aliens per year. So can you imagine? They said this was a good bill. And that doesn't include the fly-ins. And it doesn't include all of the other people that get in. They come in through places that we wouldn't even believe. They go through Snake Mountain. Running against Wacky Jackie is an American hero named Sam Brown. Sam Brown. His wife is fantastic, also Amy. But Sam Brown has given up more than anybody who has ever run for the United States Senate. Remember that. He's given up more. He's given up more than anybody who's ever run for the United States Senate. He's a hero, too, a real brave person. Sam is a fearless patriot and Purple Heart recipient who served our country as a U.S. Army captain, totally respected in Afghanistan, where he was very severely wounded. But Sam survived, he persevered, he came back, he's stronger than ever. He's a great guy. I've gotten to know him well. He's a great guy. And I said to him tonight, Sam, I'm going to be the border president. You should be the border senator. And he said, I am. I actually am, because he believes us. And he is the border. Think of him. When you vote, he's going to close up the border. She wants to leave your border open. He became a small businessman and a leader here in Nevada, and now he is going to fight for this state like nobody has ever fought before. Sam Brown will vote to secure our border, stop inflation, strengthen our military, defend religious liberty, and cut taxes like you have never heard. Because Sam Brown thinks of one thing and one thing alone. It's called America First. That's what he wants, and he told me that. And he's an incredible guy. And I want you to remember this, because, look, I'll be back a few more times before the day, 53 days now. But I want you to remember this with Sam. He truly has. He's given up so much. Nobody's given up like he's given up. So much. And he wants to do this because he loves our country. He fought for our country. Nobody's given up like he's given up so much. And Sam, I'd love to have you come up and say a few words, please. Sam Brown.
Nevada, we need the border president back. Because not only has Kamala Harris, as the borders are, failed America, but Jackie Rosen has failed America. She sits on the Homeland Security Committee. I know a little something about leadership. And leadership requires us to do the harder right rather than the easier wrong. And when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have asked Jackie Rosen to be quiet and to vote and support their policies against the better judgment and what is good for this country and this state, she has been a follower and not a leader. And I will be that leader. I tell you, I want to speak to you for a moment as a father. Amy and I have 3 children, school-age children. The crisis on the border, there has been over 320,000 unaccompanied children who have come into our country that this administration has lost accountability of. In the military, when you lose accountability, you are fired. We must, for the sake of these children. We must, for the sake of our communities. We must, for the sovereignty of this nation, secure our border, confront the cartel, and make America great again. Now, with respect, President Trump, 16 years ago, an enemy tried to take my life. Sir, I know what a warrior is. I know what it looks like when someone comes under fire and defiantly stands up in the face of that enemy and says, it is time to fight. Fight! Fight! I will fight for this country, both as a father and as a warrior. And I have seen a warrior's spirit in you that I have only ever seen on the battlefield. And I know that you have had the responsibility President Trump, you have had the sacred responsibility and honor of giving the highest awards our nation can give to people. And I just want to, as a token of appreciation from me, as someone who has been wounded for this country, just like you, to give you the thing that I can only offer out of my own heart and love for this country, appreciation and admiration for your leadership, my story that I hope inspires many to be a warrior like you. And here it is, a live day. Nevada, I've got you. We will be victorious in November, and President Trump will be the border president, and I will be the border senator. Let's win.
That was great. I tell you, you got to vote for him. You got to vote for him. Nobody's been through what he's been through. Nobody ever what he's been through, and he wants to put his life on the line again, and he wants to do it for you, and he's going to do it, and he's your border senator. He's going to be great, and she's the exact opposite. She's your open border, and you don't want open borders. You've had millions of people come in right here. They're coming in here more than any place else now because Texas has closed it up pretty well, but they've done nothing here. You got to get it. You got to get him in. I also want to thank your governor, Joe Lombardo, has been fantastic to us. He's been great. And he's right now out in the wildfires in western Nevada, which are really taking a toll. But Joe's been great, and our prayers go out to every Nevada family, that every one of them that's been forced to evacuate due to these raging fires. They're raging. And we love you all. And Governor, we thank you very much. He's done a fantastic job. And another man who's doing a fantastic job, Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony. Stavros, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stavros. Thank you. Good man. Candidate for the 4th Congressional District, John Lee. John? John Lee. Good, John. I heard you're doing well. Good. Get out and vote. I heard you're doing really good. Candidate for the 3rd Congressional District, Drew Johnson. Good, Drew. Great honor to endorse you guys. I endorse them. Nevada GOP chairman, somebody that works like hell. He wants this so badly. He's never wanted anything so badly, other than his family, of course. Michael McDonald, great guy. We gonna win it, Michael? Gonna win it? I think so. We do have a good lead, but we gotta be careful, because remember, they cheat like hell. It's the only thing they're good at. A man who's a friend of mine who writes the nicest things about me. And really a celebrity and just a great guy, Wayne Allen Root. Good man. A good man. And a brilliant young man who has always been with me no matter what. The good times, the bad times. You see him on television a lot. He's always talking about the border. It's a passion because he knows our country is being destroyed. Stephen Miller. He's here someplace. He's a great guy. Knows more about illegal immigration, I think, than anybody in history. He knows it, and he gets it. A man who's also been with me just about from the beginning. He's tough, he's smart, he loves our country, and he is a warrior, Kash Patel. Thank you, Kash. And Rick Harrison, where's Rick? Rick Harrison. Rick. Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much. We have another person here. I said, you have to get up there because he's, I love warriors, and this guy is really a warrior. Do not fight him under any circumstances. He won the Olympic gold medal, and he's the UFC and was the UFC champion numerous times, actually. And I wonder if I could take him. I'm a little larger than him. I wonder if I could take him in a fight. What do you think? You with the big hat. Could I take him in a fight? Henry, you know who I'm talking about? Henry Cenuno. Henry Cenuno. Come here. Come here. Henry Cenuno. Now, who thinks I can take Henry in a fight? I've got a little height on him, but he's got everything else. Come here. We love you, man. This guy is a winner. Here, say something.
Yeah, well, Mr. President, I'm just honored, and I think I would have just bent the knee. I would never fight you for what you do for our country, and the fact that you were willing to risk your life, which you have no reason to do this, but you're doing this for the people. It means a lot. As I told you before, President, I love this country so much, Mr. President, that I named my daughter America. And I appreciate what you've done, and I appreciate what you're doing, and let's continue to keep making America great again.
And he's got good hair, too. Look at that hair. Got no hair problem, right, Henry? None. Yeah, he's a great guy. Gold medal winner. Latin music superstar, Nicky Jam. Do you know Nicky? She's hot. Where's Nicky? Where's Nicky? Thank you, Nicky. Great to be having you here. Now you have to get, oh, look. Come here. Come here. I'm glad he came up.
It's an honor to me to meet you, Mr. President. People that come from where I come from, they don't meet the president. So I'm lucky. I'm gonna say this, but we need you. We need you back, right? We need you to be the president. And apart from that, I gotta say this in Spanish. Han pasado 4 años y no ha pasado nada. Necesitamos a Trump. Let's make America great again.
And you know, we have all different kinds of stars than we did 10 years ago and 20 years ago. It used to be a little simpler. Now it's a whole different world, but the numbers they get are incredible. Bryce Hall is here, one of the biggest. Bryce, where's Bryce? Bryce Hall. Where are you, Bryce? Stand up, Bryce. Come on up here, Bryce. Get up here. Come on. What the hell? We have to have Bryce. You know, he does an interview with people. Come on up if you want, Bryce. Come on. What the hell? We have a lot of time, right? Come on, Bryce. Look how young he is, how handsome he is. Come on up, Bryce. This guy has 44 million people watching him. And he's great. He's a great guy.
We need Trump back, really bad. Make America great again.
And you know, a while ago, a couple of years ago, a legend named Dana White called me. He said, would you do me a big favor? Would you do an interview with some guys, young guys? Who are they? He said, the Nelk Boys, the Nelk Boys. And I said, who the hell are they? I don't know. And I agreed to do it. And they were great. And the interview was aired. And we had like 200 million people. I said, who the hell are these guys? And now everybody knows who they are. The Nelk Boys, where are you guys? Where are you? You here someplace? Thank you, fellas. You want to come up? If you want, come up. Come up. Come on, get up here. Get up here. And while they're coming up, I want to introduce somebody that's been incredible. She was a very popular politician. Now she's a very popular, period. She was the Democrat presidential candidate. She knocked the hell out of somebody named Comrade. You know that. Tulsi Gabbard is here, and her husband is here, Abraham. Thank you, Tulsi. Thank you very much, Tulsi.
We need Trump back, and we need him back bad. One more thing I know that's passionate about, Governor Tim Walz, he put a 95% tax on Zyn. We got to get that removed, President Trump.
Trump 2024, that's it. Let's fucking go.
These are young guys, but they have plenty of cash, I can tell you that. And they're great people. So Comrade Kamala Harris is the most radical liberal nominee ever to seek the Oval Office. And you know, it's just pointed out, and the real number is 325,000 migrant children are lost. They're being raped or they're being killed. A lot of them are no longer with us. They lost it during the last 3 years. 325,000 children, young children, think of it, never to see their parents again. They're either gone or they're in the service as slaves, sex slaves or slaves. And I just think it's terrible. You know, they talk about us like we're evil people. They lost 325,000 young kids. Think of what that means. Think of what that means. As Vice President Harris cast the tie-breaking votes that caused the worst inflation in American history, costing us and the typical family, $28,000. Think of that, $28,000. With me, it was the opposite, the exact opposite. Days ago, it was announced that we lost 438,000 full-time jobs in August. That's a record. We lost almost 500,000 jobs in August You know, they like to go around saying how well they're doing. They're doing terribly. Inflation makes everything bad anyway. They had the highest ever. We lost 24,000 manufacturing jobs and nearly 6,000 auto manufacturing jobs. And I'll tell you what, the United Auto Workers, those guys are going to vote for me. Those guys and gals, they're going to vote for me. They're going to vote for me because the auto industry is moving to Mexico, it's moving to China, and it's moving to other parts of the world, but not the United States. China's building 2 massive auto plants in Mexico now, and they think they're going to build cars and put them into our country. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They've got authorization from Biden. You know why? Because they gave him a lot of cash. That's why. And nobody talks about it. Last month alone, American-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs as migrants gained 635,000 jobs in a single month. You know, the jobs, almost every single job was taken by a migrant worker. And black workers are losing their jobs to these people that are pouring into our country, and Hispanics are losing their jobs. And next will be unions. Unions are going to be losing all of their power, all of their clout. But the black worker and the black family, they're losing their jobs. Hispanics are losing their jobs to people that pour into our country illegally. Now Kamala is pushing the largest individual and small business tax increase in American history. And she said that a 70 to 80% tax rate is something that's very, very doable. It's a bold idea, she said, and it must be discussed. Now, she changed that a little bit, but with a politician, they always go back to their original thought. Harris and Biden waged war on American energy, opened up the Russian pipeline, Nord Stream 2, that I had closed, but shut down the Keystone XL pipeline that I had opened. She re-entered the horribly unfair to the United States, U.S. Paris Climate Accord. I want it to be the Nevada Climate Accord, not the Paris. It's the most unfair document you've ever seen. And she has always said, I will ban fracking. And she has always said, I will defund the police. Anybody, you know, she was the head of the defund the police movement. Anybody that was with that scam for even a week is not fit to serve as the President of the United States. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person. These are categories, all categories, horrible categories, but she redefined them as, in all cases, non-violent crimes. Kamala supports states being able to take minor children and perform sex change operations on them without their parents' consent. Did you know that? Did you know that? Now she'll say, oh, no, I never said that, but we can put up the tapes anytime you want. I don't even want to show them. They're so disgusting, I don't want to show them. Despite the false fact check by the fake moderators, those guys at ABC Fake News. In the debate this week, her running mate, Tampon Tim, who put tampons in young boys' bathrooms. He even signed a law that allows abortion in the 9th month. He says abortion in the 9th month, and babies to be executed after birth. And that's right. And it's happened numerous times in the states and other states too. There are radical left states that allow that. Nobody wants to talk about it, but they allow that. Execution after birth. But from the moment we take back the White House from Comrade Kamala Harris, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Starting on day 1, I will seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals in American history. We will defeat inflation quickly, and we will make America affordable again. We're getting your prices way down. We will make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. You know, I already had it above Russia and Saudi Arabia. Then we had a terrible result in a horrible election, an election where I got, remember, more votes than any sitting president ever by far, by millions. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any country in the world. Think of it. We are standing on more liquid gold under our feet than any country in the world, and we're going to use it. In 12 months, I will cut your energy costs in half, and that includes heating, air conditioning, electricity, and gasoline for your car. Right? As part of our efforts to increase housing affordability, I will work with your governor to open up new tracts of federal land for large-scale housing construction, and you'll get it for a much lower price. More than 80% of all land in Nevada is owned by the federal government. Governor Lombardo has sent 3 letters to the Biden-Harris administration asking them to open up some of this land to help alleviate the crisis, but Kamala and Crooked Joe did not even have the decency to reply to those requests. Under the Trump administration, the pleas of Nevada will be ignored no longer. We're going to open it up. We'll start with a small portion. You'll get it going, and then we're going to open up large portions of land. We will create special new zones with ultra-low taxes and ultra-low regulations to allow the development of really extraordinary new housing at a proper price, while also bringing jobs and industries to Nevada, like the movie industry, the technology industry, and the massive manufacturing plants from foreign nations will be coming into your state, and that means jobs. And if I pull this off with the help of your governor, a lot of Hollywood will be moving from California, because right now you don't have the land, because you don't have the land. It's owned by the federal government. We're going to open up that land to you. You'll be able to build studio lots and everything else. Millions and millions of Americans will be able to take part in building these clean, safe, and beautiful new communities, reviving the frontier spirit and the American dream, something you don't hear much about anymore. It's going to be done right here in Nevada. Next, I will turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower more than it has ever been before. We're going to bring back the car industry, too. We're going to bring back the car industry. And we're not going to let China and Mexico sell cars into the United States that are going to just take back our jobs. They're going to have to pay 100%, maybe a 200% tariff, because we don't want those cars. We want to make our own cars in our country. We'll do it better than them. Other countries that make us pay a tax to do business with them will be charged the same tax when they send their product into the United States. It will be called the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. In other words, if China or any other country charges us a 100, 200, or 300% tax, which they actually charge, then we will charge them a 100, 200, or 300% tax in return. Right now, we charge them nothing. My message is simple. Make your product here in America and only in America. That's what we wanted. My plan is that if you open your factory in Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or anywhere else in the United States, you don't pay a tariff. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is pay the workers, and the workers are going to be you. But if you move your production outside of the United States and send it back here, you will have to pay a massive tariff, and we don't even want your product, even if you pay it. We are going to very quickly supercharge our country, and when I'm back in that beautiful White House, we will pass larger tax cuts for workers, and we have a special tax that here is going to do, I think, quite well. It's called no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on tips. Did you see when I announced that a long time ago, all of a sudden she announced it, and she was met with rebuke. And you know, they can't do it anyway because they have so much legislation in that makes sure that you pay your tax on tips. And it didn't go over too well, but we are going to do it. We'll get it done fast. You know, they said they were going to cut the school lending when you borrow money to go to school. They were going to cut it. They were going to cut it down to nothing. Guess what? A big thud. Never happened. It never happened. You know why? Because they're all talk and no action. And you saw that the other night at the debate. She was all talk. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cut tax, and then I'm going to give you $25,000 for a house, and then I'm going to go, you know, over and over. And I said very simply at the end of my last little statement, why haven't you done it? You've been there for 3.5 years. Why haven't you done it? Right, Michael? Why haven't you done it, Michael? Right, Michael? Why haven't they done it? I said, we will leave this debate stage, which is just a waste of time anyway. I will go with you to Washington, and you can announce the closure of the border. You know, she doesn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I said, we're closing the border. We closed the border. And we had the greatest chart of all time. You want to put up that chart if you can find it, the border chart, my all-time favorite in the history of charts. Yeah, I love that chart. I'm going to sleep with that chart. That chart saved my life. Can you believe it? Just like that. I said, put up the chart. And I went like that to look at it. Ping. That chart, think of it, illegal immigration saved my life. See that? That is the most beautiful document I've ever seen. But you see the arrow on the bottom? That's when I left office. That's the lowest point in the history of our country for illegal immigrants to come in, but also drugs and everything else that was coming in bad. That point is the lowest. And then as soon as they took over, look, it became a rocket ship. Look at that, like a rocket ship, and our country was destroyed. We had it under control. That's the lowest point in the history. That was done by Border Patrol, that chart. But regardless of the numbers, I love that chart. I'm sorry. Additionally, I will fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, no cuts. And we will have no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. No tax on Social Security. And then we wheeled out a great one, and I actually think this is going to be fantastic for the country as well as the worker, because a lot of people are going to be working overtime. And just yesterday I announced that there will be no taxes on overtime. No taxes on overtime. We will terminate the Green New Scam. I call it the Green New Scam, Green New Deal, Green New Scam. It's the greatest scam. You know what they're going to spend? $97 trillion. Where are they going to get that money? That's more money than every country in the world has. It's a scam. They were going to spend $97 trillion. And you know, the time is coming up. Remember, they said we only have 12 years to live because the environment is going to kill us, right? That time is very close. Somehow I'm not worried. I am worried about nuclear because, to be honest with you, we have incompetent people dealing on it. You're going to end up in World War III. You're going to have a nuclear holocaust if we're not careful. These people have no idea. Our people have no idea what they're doing. And I will keep you out of World War III. I'm the only one that's going to be able to do it. But we're going to spend all of that Green New Scam money on roads and bridges and real infrastructure and paying down debt. We're going to pay down debt. And you know, we're going to have growth like this country has never seen before. We're going to get that debt way down. We're going to get your interest rates way down so you can buy the house. You can have the American dream. I had interest rates at 2%. And now they're 10% and you can't get the money. You can't pay the money anyway, too expensive. But you can't get the money. We're not going to have fake infrastructure that's caused massive inflation. You know, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a fake deal, they actually said about 6 months ago they never expected it to do anything for inflation. It was a scam to get more money for the environment. So listen to this, very important, I think. You haven't heard the word environment in 7 months. You know why? It doesn't play. It doesn't play. We want clean air, we want crystal clear water, beautiful water, and we want an unbelievable country, and we want an economy that's better than it's ever been before. The environment isn't playing. They don't mention it anymore. You know, with all the money they spent, wasted on all this nonsense that they did, the apartment, your windows have to be smaller, preferably don't have any windows at all. They showed me a building, an ideal building. I said, what is that? Is it a bunker? No, this is a building. It's a modern building. It had no windows. Let's try selling one of those apartments. You have not small windows. You had no windows. Because it's good. The sunlight doesn't go through, okay? Look, she's laughing. That's crazy, isn't it? I don't know if you're laughing or crying. I'm sort of crying about it. It's crazy. These people are crazy. We want a new building, and they want to knock down all those beautiful buildings in Manhattan and rebuild them with no windows. We don't want one building in Manhattan. I will end the chaos in the Middle East, and I will settle the war in Ukraine as president-elect. And remember this, a vote for Comrade Kamala Harris is a vote for war with Russia. Would anybody like to be in war with Russia? If necessary, we would. We're not, you know, but preferably not, right? Don't you think? It's also a vote to bring back the draft. Would anybody like to be drafted in the audience? Because that's what they're doing. She's already talking about bringing back the draft. She wants to bring back the draft and draft your child and put them in a war that should never have happened. Remember, Russia would have never attacked Ukraine, ever, and didn't for 4 years. And remember this, when Bush was president, he gave up a lot to Russia. When Barack Hussein Obama was president, gave up a lot to Russia. When Biden was president, going to give up the whole thing to Russia, it looks like. But when Trump was president, he gave up nothing to Russia, zero. I gave up nothing. I'm the only one. I'm the only one. And a vote for Comrade Kamala Harris is a vote to obliterate Israel and fast. Israel is going to be blown off the face of the earth if she becomes the president of the United States. I hate to say it. I've always backed Israel. They will not have a chance if she went to a party instead when your prime minister came to the United States and spoke before Congress, which is a big event. She went to a sorority party instead. She found that more important. Ready? Israel will be blown off the face of the earth. It will not exist if she becomes president of the United States. If I become president of the United States, it will go on to glory. But if she becomes president, it will be obliterated. Just remember I said it. A vote for President Donald J. Trump is a vote for prosperity and peace. We will rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., which is a mess, with graffiti all over our beautiful marble buildings, with roads that have potholes all over and medians that are falling down into the gutter. We're going to make those cities safe, clean, and beautiful again. And we will keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. We're losing it fast. Nobody else will be able to do that. We're already missing so many. Russia's gone. China essentially is gone. China's the one that wants to take it. North Korea's gone. They're all getting out. But with me, it's different. I'm going to say, you know what? You want to get out? Yes, we decided to get out. We're going to go with Russia. We're going to go with China. I said, that's okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a 250% tariff on anything you sell us in this country. And you know what they're going to do? Sir, we've decided that we want to stay in your currency, sir. We're going to stay in your currency. It won't happen. It won't happen. Just like Mexico gave us all those soldiers at our border, everyone said, you could never get that. I got it. 28,000 soldiers, Cash, right? We got 28,000 soldiers to protect our border while we were building the wall. And we got a lot of other things, too. I could go over them. I could speak all night long about what we got. What we're going to get is the greatest country in the history of the world. We're going to bring it back. And just in closing, this is how we will end the era of inflation, mayhem, and misery under Kamala and Crooked Joe, and unleash safety, prosperity, and peace for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, and low inflation so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home. Very simple, isn't it? I saw the other night on television a woman went up to the grocery store and put on the counter 3 apples, and then she realized she didn't have enough money for that, and she took one of the apples back. I said, that should never happen in our country. We're not going to let it happen in our country while other people get rich and while illegal migrants are staying in luxury hotels. And our soldiers, our vets, are sleeping on the streets at the base of those hotels, and they're up in luxury rooms, and they came into our country illegally, and many of them are very bad people. We will stop the invasion, end migrant crime, support our police, strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield, and a lot of it is going to be built in Nevada. We will keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. And we will keep men out of women's sports. I don't know if you saw the Olympics a couple of weeks ago. A beautiful young Italian boxer, female boxer, and supposed to be very good. And she was fighting a young gentleman or a young woman. You always have to be careful. You know, your political career could end immediately with the wrong statement. So I'll say one of each. But she was fighting a person who was a man and transitioned into womanhood. And he looked like if Muhammad Ali in his prime saw him, Muhammad would be afraid. And the fight began, and they're standing. Henry would know this better than anybody, but they were standing up, and a left jab is just sort of defense, left jab, left jab. And he hit her with a left jab, and she was, oh my, what? She got hit like a horse. She said, somebody hit me, it was a horse. And then she said, I'll try it again. And she went up, and he hit her again with just a left jab. And she said, nope, I'm not going to do it. He ended up winning the gold medal. Went through the boxers like nothing. There were 2 people in women's boxing that transitioned. Both of them happened to win a gold medal. Are you surprised? Are you surprised by that? Are you surprised? No, I'm not either, right? I'm not surprised. We will defend the Second Amendment, restore free speech, and we will secure our elections. We're going to have to secure our elections because they cheat so badly. Everyone will prosper, every family will thrive, and every day we will be filled, you know the word they used, with joy. So I'm not going to use that word if you don't mind. But opportunity and hope, we're going to be filled with ambition. We're going to go out and love getting up every morning and going to work and making a lot of money. But for that to happen, we must defeat Comrade Kamala Harris, a radical left lunatic. And we must stop her country-destroying liberal agenda once and for all. If they get in, we're never going to be able to turn this country around. It's going to be Venezuela on steroids. You're never going to be able to do it. So get everyone you know to vote. We want a landslide that is too big to rig, too big to rig. On November 5th, we will save our economy. We will rescue our middle class. We will reclaim our sovereignty and restore our borders like they have not been restored in a long time. We will put America first, and we will take back our country. Together we will make America powerful again. Make America wealthy again. Make America healthy again. Make America strong again. Make America proud again. Make America safe again. Make America free again. We will make America great again. Thank you very much, Nevada. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Get out and vote. God bless you.
You know what time it is. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. It is the second stream for the day. We are on the third hour of our stream. We've been live for 3 hours now. The former stream, we were live for about 2 hours or almost 3 hours. We're going to be back today. It is currently 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Today is September 14, Saturday. Okay. But I still got to watch a movie because I said I was going to watch a movie. What's that movie? Jason versus Hey, what's that movie, bro? Freddy versus Jason, because yesterday was September 13, which was Friday the 13th. So I gotta watch. I always like to watch something, a little bit off the edge every Friday the 13th. So I'm gonna go watch that right now. CeeLo gotta go. Thank you. All right, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know what time it is. Subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 40,000 subscribers. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know what time it is. Whoever you're voting for, make sure you vote for policies, not um feelings and emotions. Okay, so vote for policies, don't vote for your feelings, don't vote for all those emotional things that you think about, because your feelings and emotions would not pay your bills. Okay, all right, you know what time it is. Statson say Elm Street. I don't know, man. I don't know Elm Street. I already made up my mind. I want to watch Freddy versus Jason, so I'm not gonna be watching Elm Street. uh okay. Shout out time. Shout out time. Corey B, the moderator for tonight. You know what time it is. Thank you, Corey B. I see you, Man Flips. Man Flips, oh, Man Flips. You've been a very instrumental moderator. God bless you. Bro, you know what time it is, bro. Can you adjust the volume when you switch audio? Bro, okay. For real, I gotta get a mic because I'm using my current computer mic. So I gotta get an actual Bluetooth mic, which I'm gonna get today. Also, I gotta take my wife and my daughter on a date tonight today because she already told me you gotta take us on a date on Saturday. So I gotta do what I gotta do, take care of my family. So yeah. We gotta go. I think we're gonna go to the skating rink to just do a little. I don't know how to skate, but I just wanna take them out and have a good time. Yeah, man. God bless you guys. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless your business. God bless you. God bless America. Okay?